So Sid recalls it like this. He said, "I'll tell you exactly what happened. We were in a bar and I was just waiting for food. We were all at a table drinking." Sid went on to say, Arn asked the question, "What's wrong with our business? Why aren't we drawing the other company this, the other company that?" So Sid said, "You want to know what's wrong with our business? We have an old man and Ric Flair who needs to get the fuck out of the way." Of course, then they got into an argument because Arn and Rick are friends, and then they started slinging beers all over the bar. And then after that, everybody went back to their room. Sid said as he was going to his room, Arn Anderson and a bunch of other guys were in the hallway, and then he broke a beer bottle and threatened to cut Sid. Sid was only staying a few doors down from Arn Anderson in the hotel, and Sid wanted to go back to the bar, but he just went to his room, ate a sandwich, and he said to himself as he was in his room, "Man, this motherfucker." Started talking to himself a little more. He said, "This fucker threw a beer in my face, and now he's threatening me with a fucking beer bottle broken. You know what? I have to draw a fucking line." So there was a chair sitting next to him in his hotel room, so he broke the leg off of it, and he was going to go fucking kill Arn Anderson. So Sid grabbed the leg from the chair, went down the hallway, and went to Anderson's room. His door was shut, so he knocked on it and said, "Come out here, motherfucker." Sid could hear some falling down and stumbling behind the door, so he just assumed that Arn Anderson was drunk. And then he just looked at the chair leg and was like, "This is fucking stupid." So he just threw the thing down the hallway and said, "Screw it." But Arn Anderson ends up coming out of his room, and Sid turns around, and there's Arn Anderson standing in the hallway with a pair of scissors. Sid said that he tried leveling with Arn Anderson. He said, "Hey man, this has gone too far," but then Arn Anderson just kind of rushed him. And there are a ton of wrestlers in this hotel with him, of course. Steve Austin was there, Nasty Boys, Too Cold Scorpio, Big Van Vader. They all have their own sides of the story too, so if you want to look this up, you can. When Too Cold Scorpio got down the hallway, he just saw Arn Anderson and Sid Vicious bleeding in the hallway fighting each other. Apparently, Sid had the scissors, got Arn by the hair. He's booting him in the face, stabbing him with the scissors. Arn Anderson's spitting up blood. It's just a crazy scene. Sid said, "I think I heard Arn Anderson say, 'Man, you're fucking killing me,' or something like that." And then he looked down and he saw that the scissors were in his hand, and he was like, "Fuck, man." Sid said that he saw blood come gushing out of his stomach, and he's like, "I've been stabbed. He's been stabbed. Just what the fuck is going on?" Sid ended up getting fired by Eric Bischoff. Arn Anderson only got a suspension, and then they moved on from there. And I think they're on good terms today. The two were driving back from a show at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena in Huntington, West Virginia, when they were pulled over for speeding in what is actually a pretty well-known speed trap. And they were not the only WWE stars that got pulled over. Sandman was also pulled over.
Of course he fucking was.
How did they not pop this guy for nothing?
Yo, Rob, what are you telling me about that?
So officers smelled marijuana and searched the car. They found...
You were saying his name was Officer Smelled?
Officers smelled marijuana. They found Rob Van Dam to be in possession of 18 grams of marijuana and 5 Vicodin. Sabu was found with drug paraphernalia and 9 pills that were not immediately identifiable and were known to be controlled substances.
Flintstones.
Word broke the next morning in the local area paper, which made a huge deal of the story, including plastering a gigantic color photo of both men on the front page.
Gigging.
Just bloody.
Yeah.
Officials at the Ohio State Patrol were busy in the morning, but confirmed that the arrest had taken place. WWE at first made no mention of the situation, but did change the scheduled Raw main event from a 3-way tag team triple threat match where RVD, John Cena, and Edge would choose mystery partners to just a straight 3-way with the WWE belt on the line. Yeah. It was clear very early on that Van Dam was about to lose both of those belts and his top spot.
You're damn right.
So that afternoon, Rob Van Dam and Sabu had a meeting with John Laurinaitis to discuss the situation.
Oh,
I'm sure it went so good. Just as a fun fact,
they walked in and that's like,
October of this year, they ran house shows at the Budokan. Just so you know.
The Budokan.
Whoa. House shows? What the fuck?
That's unbelievable. Rob, why are you so high?
At the Budokan? We got to show the house shows at the Budokan.
To the House of Extreme. How could Sabu? Rob!
Sabu, talk.
Sabu, identify these pills to me right now. I'm going to taste each one of them. Tell me what they are.
Yeah, these are controlled substances.
Why can't you control these substances?
Let me get.
He turned into Stone Cold Johnny.
Why can't you control these substances?
Fuck you, Rob.
You're fired. These pills suck. You're fired.
Vicodin sucks. All right, so it is believed that RVD claimed he had a prescription for the Vicodin, and Sabu claimed he had a prescription for all his mystery pills. And that
I got him from Dr. Pepper.
And the pipe he was found with was brand new and unused. Possession of a pipe is not illegal. Later in the day, WWE.com addressed the story, giving the basics and stating that WWE was preparing their own internal investigation. Both men were said to be upfront and honest about the situation and very apologetic. So, of course, we all know Monday night, Van Dam lost the WWE title to Edge in the three-way after Cena gave him an FU and Edge stole the pin. The following night on the ECW show, Rob lost the ECW title to Big Show after Paul Heyman turned on him, and obviously a number of plans have been switched around due to all of this. Edge was almost certainly going to win the WWE title in the same match at Saturday night's main event. That's right. They brought that back. Yeah, they actually talked about this on this show, actually.
I figured he was. I figured
match.
Rob. Yeah, they say it's the first Extreme Rules match to ever happen on Saturday night's main event. I figured he was going to drop it to Edge, but I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yeah, I guess he was. It says almost certainly. So
Jesus.
And now there is no main event for that show, and it's a week away. I don't think the Big Show ECW title win and Heyman heel turn was in the works, but if it was, it certainly wasn't in the works for right now. There had been a movement to turn Heyman heel since he was already starting to get bad reactions from ECW fans who saw him as a corporate sellout. Some people hated the show Tuesday night, but I thought it was fascinating in the best way possible to remedy the situation that we're in. This is the Observer saying this.
Yeah.
RVD chasing Big Show managed by heel Paul Heyman throughout the summer is a very well-defined direction for an angle. Prior to this, there was no direction. It was merely RVD defending the title against the latest Raw Challenger of the Week. So a few more things here. Regarding ECW, Paul Heyman has lost progressively more power by the week, though he's still got some input. Yeah. He actually wrote the entire second episode, and nobody touched it. And this is of ECW, but we're 4 weeks in now. So I should note that I thought this was the best episode of the three so far. The third episode was very creative team heavy because Vince McMahon was upset with the negative reaction the brand got at the ECW arena. Apparently not realizing why they got this reaction. The fans wanted the old ECW, which was, this never was or is ever going to be.
No, that was never going to happen.
Paul wrote an original script, but it got thrown out and rewritten by Vince and the crew. The rumor in OVW is that Paul has been burying Greg Gagne to Stephanie, so if the ECW deal falls through, he can get his job back in OVW.
That's fucking amazing.
That's Paul Lee in a nutshell.
That's very Paul Lee.
Working everybody.
Reports from the ECW house shows are that the main events are pretty good and everything else is pretty bad. The guys aren't killing themselves, and one person wrote, from the human toll standpoint, these shows are actually pretty safe, all things considered. There was only one table spot, one with canes, and a couple with safe chair shots. Everything else was just straight, gimmickless, mostly bad wrestling.
I think a lot of those house shows had Punk versus Stevie Richards on a lot of them. Supposedly they were actually good matches.
I assume so. Punk was, his work rate was through the roof at this point. So
yeah, they didn't really do him justice on this show, though, I'll tell you that fucking much.
No. The following cryptic message appeared on WWE.com. Due to recent events in ECW and on ECW.com, Tommy Dreamer's Diary of Violence has been suspended until further notice.
What?
Meltzer wrote, it's not a work, and he's in hot water.
Is it
Tommy Dreamer was shitting on ECW, wasn't he?
Yes. So I think the week before, Tommy Dreamer was like, this sucks. Yeah, and this is not ECW.
Because they literally just let him write whatever. I remember this. He would write whatever he wanted, and they posted it, and then he just he was like, this fucking sucks. Paul Heyman's not in charge anymore.
This shit. What the fuck?
ECW sucks.
Wow.
He paid for it, too.
Rhino.
Yeah, why did I go TNA?
Yeah.
November 29th, 1999, Observer here. A little tidbit from ECW, actually. There were feelers sent by Arnold Schwarzenegger's people about doing ECW to promote his movie.
What the fuck?
He said that he had such a good time doing SmackDown that he wanted to do more wrestling stuff.
Oh my God.
They sent out to ECW about doing this ECW thing, but it didn't materialize.
What night when Arnold and Kimona Wanna Lay You danced the top, the ECW.
What movie was he promoting at the time?
I actually don't know. It was 1999.
Jingle All the Way. Actually, maybe it was.
It was around the holidays too, yeah.
Oh no, Jingle All the Way was like years before that. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I don't know. That's wow.
So 1999, End of Days.
End of Days. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That might be it.
Huh.
Yeah.
That movie tanked. If only they would add ECW. You know?
Yeah, if they put
I
RVD
don't know.
in
Budget
it.
was $100 million. It did $212 million. So it did okay, I guess. So, anyways, Arnold Schwarzenegger did not show up in ECW as they couldn't agree to, among other things, creative content.
That's a shocker. It wasn't the money that was the problem. It was the creative control.
I think that's what it says here.
Wow.
I mean, among other things, I also think that the money was probably
okay.
It didn't help that Paul Heyman wanted to crucify him on a cross and put a barbed wire thing on his head. It's real weird. I can't see how that didn't work for Arnold.
He's going to get his ass franchised if he shows up here, I'll tell you that much.
Also, there seems to be a fitness model trying out for the WWF who was just signed to a 3-year developmental deal. Her name was Trish Stratus.
That'll never work
baby,
out.
oh, baby, oh, baby.
Trish Stratus was actually backstage at the WCW Mayhem pay-per-view and worked on the LAW Wrestling Radio Internet show, and then she ended up signing with the WWF.
There's an alternate timeline, James, where Trish versus Stacy happened in WCW.
WCW? Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's an alternate reality where Trish fought Disco Inferno.
Oh, my God. Probably one, too.
And Terry Taylor had talked about Trish Stratus coming into WCW, and there had even been talks with Raven and her about coming into ECW when ECW held its pay-per-view show in Buffalo.
What the fuck?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Trish was like working. She was like the hottest free agent.
Yeah, she talked to literally every company.
Didn't have one match. That's awesome. She's like the Kurt Angle.
She hadn't even started training. Yeah, she hadn't even started training
awesome.
yet.
Wow, that's crazy. What the fuck? Hold on, what's she doing with Raven?
And then, of course, we talked about a little bit last time we did this, but Sean Stasiak was fired on the December 6 tapings in Worcester by Jim Ross in front of everybody.
Oh my God.
Apparently Stasiak has this actually makes a lot more sense to me. I didn't understand when we first read it. It was like, what, he just like walk around with a recorder or something?
With a tape recorder, yeah.
So apparently Sean Stasiak had secretly kept a tape recorder in his bag and would tape everything while he was out of the room to hear what people were saying behind his back, and was also allegedly tape recording the locker room and road conversations, and he had gotten caught.
Wow.
The issue had been addressed and appeared to have blown over, but Vince McMahon made the decision on December 6th to fire him. There was some concern about the wrestlers of what he had allegedly recorded, and when he started doing so, since nobody really knew, since the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, that secret taping in the dressing room isn't something the company looks fondly on.
What the fuck was he thinking?
I don't know, actually. I don't really know.
That's like too paranoid, really. Yeah, that's so weird. Figure 4 Wrestling, issue 636 from September 3rd, 2007. Okay. We're going to go around here, just general wrestling, not just ECW from the time. We're going to talk a little TNA in here as well, which is actually
give us a little
pretty tremendous.
Give us a little clue what's going on in the world.
Vince McMahon was approached with the idea of doing a pro wrestling off season a few times in the past couple months and completely blew it off every time.
I feel like that's every time that discussion comes up, Vince always says no.
I think to this day, he's still, even now. I mean, people argue the bloated roster thing, which I get in a sense, but like that's the way you can give people time off. If you always have if you have so many names around, you can give people time off and it won't feel weird because they can just slot in people that are just as over, if not more, you know?
Yeah, it'd be perfect, but
Johnny Ace has brought up the name Sid Vicious. Ace was at an indie show this weekend that featured Sid Vicious versus Jerry Lawler.
That sounds like the most indie show ever.
That sounds very indie. It was probably around your area, dude. Speaking of Johnny Ace wanted a meeting with Takeshi Morishima when Morishima was in New York this past weekend. He's very high on him. Noah put the ixnay on that, citing loyalty to Ring of Honor, because Morishima, I'm pretty sure at this time, is ROH World Champion. That should give you an idea of how tight Noah and ROH are, because in the grand scheme of the universe, it seems insane to favor ROH over WWE. WWE had approached Morishima a year or so ago when he was down training at Harley Race's school. People had heard that he was potentially a new Terry Gordy, and there was interest in putting him on ECW since Masato Tanaka and Tajiri fell through. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't even know they tried to get them.
Whoa.
Yeah. Ace pursued it, but Noah shot it down then as well. All of this also seems to indicate that Noah plans on him being a major player for the next several years, which, I mean, he doesn't really work out exactly that way, but because I'm pretty sure I think in 2009 he does like a dark match maybe with Lance Cade as well. Yeah, and then I don't remember hearing about him after that.
Wow.
Bryan Danielson, oddly enough, suffered a serious eye injury in his match with Takeshi Morishima on Saturday night in Manhattan. He suffered a detached retina, and the muscles around the eye were loosened to the point where his eyeball rolled back in his head and you couldn't see out of it. I'm pretty sure there's footage of the doctor checking on Brian. It might be in one of the ROH video wires or something where he like he's Asa Timbaland without meaning to. Like his his eye will not roll forward. And if you watch the you remember the Wrestling Road Diaries that Colt Cabana did? There's a couple scenes in there where Brian is like saying, because of this fucked up eye thing, I can sneeze without blinking.
Again.
Speaking of TNA, here's a fun line that Meltzer wrote here. TNA, I hate this show. Just thought I'd get that out of the way early so there wasn't any confusion. The show he's talking about was main evented by Steiners versus Kurt Angle, where if Angle loses, the Steiners get 5 minutes alone with Karen.
Wow, that's awesome. I
hate this show. We move on to the edition from September 10th, 2007. This is from Stamford, Connecticut. This must be a press release. Based on independent information received from investigators from the Albany County NYDA's office, WWE has today, under the penalty provisions of its wellness policy, issued suspension notices to 10 of its performers for violations. It has been WWE's practice not to release the names of those who have been suspended, but notice has been sent to all the WWE performers with the names of anyone that was suspended under the wellness policy as of November 1st will be made public. So after that point, they said, hey, we'll fucking name you, son. Anyway, here's the names. Within hours of the WWE press release, the New York Daily News reported that Randy Orton, Charles Haas, Adam Copeland, who is Edge in the WWF, Booker T. Huffman, who is Booker T in the WWF, Shane Helms, Mike Bucci, which is Nova or Simon Dean, Anthony Corelli, which is Santino Marella, John Hennigan, which is John Morrison, Darren Matthews, which is William Regal, Ken Anderson, which is Ken Kennedy, and Chavo Guerrero were known signature clients. This was 11 names, only 10 had been suspended. People began debating which guy had gotten off the hook and why. Which one of these people do you think got off the hook, Tony?
Kennedy!
I think it was Orton, right?
Well, yeah, he never really got in trouble ever.
That's what I mean. I feel like Orton was probably the one that fucking got out of that.
I think you violate the policy by just not taking the test too, right? If they're like, we want you to take a drug, and you just don't do it.
Hornswoggle years later said, got suspended for a violation. He says he just couldn't pee, and he got the same punishment as if he was doing drugs.
Yeah, that sounds like Randy Orton. He just couldn't pee.
Yeah, you think so? You think Randy Orton just couldn't take a piss that week?
That sounds about right.
That afternoon, Sean Assel, author of Sex, Lies, and Headlocks, wrote a column for ESPN that claimed sources close to the investigation had also listed Funaki, Batista, and Chris Masters as clients. We now had way more than 11 names, plus Funaki, which fascinated people. Also, Eugene and Crime Time were released. just nothing to do with that. They just fucking got rid of them. That's so, crazy that many people in one hit, because I'm pretty sure it came out that this one doctor or pharmacy or something, I don't know the verbiage for it, was providing just shit to all these wrestlers just cuz
under the table kind of shit.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Ric Flair gave his notice a couple weeks back. We don't have a lot of details, but this really had nothing to do with the current drug scandal. It may be a leverage ploy more than anything else, but I cannot fathom him going to TNA unless he really, really wants to be champion one more time and would consider the TNA title a major championship of any relevance. In 2007, I believe they were trying to woo him back with the retirement storyline that would culminate at WrestleMania. I could be wrong, but I would be stunned if he didn't return in the end.
Wow, what is TNA? What is TNA?
Turns out he does both of these things.
he does
retires in Mania, and then he goes to TNA.
He went to TNA in 2010, though, didn't he?
It's not immediately. No, it's not. But that would be fucking. If he lost to Mania and shows up at Impact next week, that would have been amazing. We have Figure 4 Wrestling 638 from September 17th, 2007. The title of this is TNA Something or Other. Meltzer writes, I really thought this show was hard justice. Honest to God, like it matters.
Oh, no.
Did not know what the name of the show was. He says, my issue was this show was the issue I have with TNA every month, it seems, and that it is great tragedy of having to make life difficult for everyone involved. If you took out all the bullshit and just concentrated on the bell-to-bell in-ring action, this was a really good show. Unfortunately, it's impossible to ignore all the bullshit.
Oh, damn.
With TNA officially going to 2 hours on October 4th, There you go, Tony. 9 to 11 p.m. on Spike. A punishment, if I've ever heard one. Jesus. I hereby respectfully call for the following people to be fired from TNA or at least move to other areas of the company where preferably they have no input whatsoever into the product. This is for the good of the company and thus the good of the wrestling business. So he has a list here of people that he wants fired or moved to a different spot in TNA. Number 1, Vince Russo. Shocking. Meltzer says he should get a medal as he has sat through every single show that Russo has ever written. Number 2, Jeff Jarrett. He should get fired for not understanding that Russo sucks and for not learning anything from WCW. Dutch Mantel. He says he's not as bad as Russo or Jarrett, but his writing sucks too.
Who are you going to have write this show then? I'm curious.
David Sahadi should also be fired. He is the director, and much like Kevin Dunn, says he misses everything and doesn't get the point. Mike Tenay and Don West. What the fuck?
They were really good.
They were tremendous. He says Tenay is past his prime and Don West became a parody of himself, basically Flanderized. Oh my God. And lastly, Dave suggests that Sanjay Dutt, Tomko, and Scott Steiner could be a better writing crew. That sounds like an incredible writing team. I do not
disagree. Actually, isn't Sanjay right? Like WWE and then AEW now?
I think he does work for AEW now. Yeah, I think he helps with like promos and shit. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Regarding the illegitimate son deal, I would be stunned if this wasn't just a way to prolong the storyline until Kennedy returns from suspension. So Kennedy did not get away from the suspension, Tony. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was Randy Orton. The whole deal with Kennedy may have been axed, but my feeling from watching Raw is that it has not. I base this mostly on the original plans, which would have seen Kennedy and Vince team up to try to control the company from the rest of the family, and Hunter coming out as the husband of Stephanie and siding with her, Linda and Shane. They're also being very tight-lipped about where this goes from here, which also suggests that Hornswoggle as the child isn't the end of this whole thing. So it does not end there. So, spoilers. Hornswoggle ends up being the kid of Vince McMahon. King Booker is likely done for now. He was the 60-day suspension and was outraged. He was pissed because he'd already been suspended once, Meltzer believes around the time where he and Sharmell had the supposed breakup on SmackDown and he vanished. Then he got a 60-day suspension just because his name showed up on the signature list. I think Signature is the name of the company that was doing the pharmaceutical shenanigans. He was very close to signing a new long-term contract, but was constantly holding out. He'd made it clear that if he'd been drafted to ECW earlier this year, he would have quit right then and there.
So would I.
We're told that Matt Sydal has signed his WWE developmental contract and will be heading to OVW.
That's interesting. Wow.
Very interesting. Mr. Bourne, Evan Bourne, and then Matt Sydal again. This is what he wrote here. Sandman was fired. Bullshit. More next week. He doesn't follow up next week, though.
Nice.
That's so weird. I don't know the story there. That's interesting. Goldberg was on Richard Hunter's radio show in Texas, and when he was asked about TNA, Goldberg said this. TNA totally blows, man. I don't think they have a clue as to what people want to see. I think they've got a very clouded vision. Right after the Benoit death, WWE and TNA had an opportunity to make it right. They had an opportunity. They had everyone's attention. And what does TNA do? They go out and sign Pac-Man Joe. That in itself, in a nutshell, describes TNA's mentality. That is a viable option for Goldberg? Absolutely not. Those guys don't deserve to have me on their program.
Dude, there was always rumors around the time Goldberg's going. He's going to TNA.
Yeah, there was. And lastly, we have here a special little tidbit about the Vince angle. WWE actually, I need to reiterate, WWE actually sent out a press release noting that Hornswoggle was Vince's illegitimate son.
Yes,
you know, this is for True City, you bastards.
100% true, no lies.
F4W online newsletter 594 from November 13th, so it's a couple days before. TNA, of course, is taped.
I fucked that up last time when you weren't here. I said that those were Meltzer's notes. Those were Alvarez's notes. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. The Observer, for some reason, isn't logged for 2006, so it's only F4W in 2006. I'm not too sure why. Maybe Meltzer said, maybe I'm done with Red. Maybe this sucks and I'm out.
I didn't like that year.
He fucking hated everything.
F4W 594 here. I only had one little note here. I thought it was funny.
Okay.
Tully Blanchard had a confrontation with JBL backstage last week. That involved JBL bitching him out in front of everyone and calling him a drug addict and a hypocrite.
Oh my God.
Tully Blanchard made life hell for Bradshaw and several of his friends, including the late Bobby Duncombe Jr., back when they were both breaking in, and JBL decided that right now was the time to get his receipt.
I've had enough.
He said this got mixed reactions. Some thought Bradshaw was totally unprofessional, and others felt Tully Blanchard deserved every bit of it. Tully Blanchard, who just got hired, quit the creative team a few days later. I'm told it wasn't 100% because of the Bradshaw deal, but was more a combination of that and the fact that the road schedule sucked.
Interesting.
Tully Blanchard and JBL fighting backstage sounds awesome.
JBL fought backstage with everyone, it sounds like.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
JBL decided that 15 years later, now is time to get the receipt.
Oddly enough, it always seemed like guys that were smaller or older than him, too. Very interesting.
It's weird when you look around and everybody's the problem. It's actually you. It's real weird.
Don't care. Throw a good lariat ratio. F4W Online 595. This is November 20th, so a few days after the November 16th episode of TNA that we watched. Developmental update from WWE. Still nothing on Monty Brown, though the feeling is he'll sign at some point. Also, 3 names have signed to WWE this week. Now, read this date, November 20th, 2006. 3 names, Natty Neidhart, TJ Wilson, and Claudio Castagnoli.
Wow.
Whoa.
Jesus. And
so what was the deal in 2006 with Claudio that he went here and then left?
He gets signed and then mysteriously gets released. Now, I think it was a visa thing, but I will tell you, just for fun, that the rumor going around on the mostly CZW fans and then my friend group
hell yeah,
was that he loved cocaine.
Whoa. That's actually the true one. That's the true one. I just checked.
Oh, you double check that? Yeah. The bouncer said that.
That's awesome.
Now, I'm pretty sure that was not the case, but that was. I swear that was the coke thing came up so much more often than anything. Not the visa. Like no one even considered the visa. It was man, he just fucking
straight to
coke.
that. Yeah. That's the internet boards, baby. They were crazy.
It was.
There was a preview this week for a Mr. McMahon's ass cartoon, which will start airing on WWE.com.
They aired one episode, but then they got fucked in the ass by, what was it, Assy McGee?
Yeah,
that was the show.
Assy McGee said, you can't do an ass show. We're an ass show.
They aired it on the .com too, so it wasn't just a DVD. I think it was on the .com.
No, it was meant to be an online exclusive. Yeah, I think that's what, was that what it said there, James?
But it made it on the DVD?
Yeah, it was WWE.com.
It was a DVD bonus. I guess to get people to go to the website to watch it after, because everyone sees it and, oh man, I want to see more of Vince McMahon's ass.
Yeah, so they definitely, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading that this was pretty much a direct Assy McGee like copy. Like they saw that and was like, yes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, I think that's why Assy McGee was like, no, I'm going to let you try that no more times.
You know what's funny? I have it here, actually, the thing, what happened with that, if you'd like me to read it. It's from
go for it.
The creators of the animated series Assy McGee have filed a lawsuit against WWE over the Mr. McMahon's Kiss My Ass cartoon, which debuted recently on WWE.com. Assy McGee is an animated sitcom featuring Assy McGee, a vigilante police officer who is literally a walking pair of buttocks. The series premiered on November 26, 2006 for the Cartoon Network's late-night Adult Swim block. Michael Cole, who oversees WWE.com, asked one of his staffers to come up with a creative idea that Vince McMahon would like. Whoever came up with the idea decided to rip off the Adult Swim show. Furthermore, a few of the storylines used for the McMahon cartoon were blatantly stolen from Assy McGee. To make matters worse for McMahon, the Cartoon Network is owned by Turner Broadcasting, his old rival. Also, they can't even really take this to court since they've got no defense whatsoever. Regarding Vince McMahon's original thoughts on the cartoon, McMahon thought it was the best thing ever because it was a cartoon about his own ass. However, when he found out about the lawsuit, he became infuriated, to say the least. Michael Cole, who had hired a separate Flash animator to produce the cartoon full-time and was also working on T-shirts, claimed he'd never even heard of Assy McGee. This didn't fly too well because it appears that WWE will have to pay for the mistake in the form of cash to Turner. Due to this incident, Michael Cole is said to be in serious trouble, and there is a chance he'll be fired as head of WWE.com. However, his SmackDown job is not in jeopardy. So I think he may have gotten fired from WWE.com for that.
Wow.
Nice.
An ass cartoon just derailed this whole company.
My ass. You got my ass sued.
Stacy Keibler is now doing work on the George Lopez show.
Great.
And
Why'd you fucking... You had to include this. This is vital news.
This is legendary news. I couldn't believe that I read this. Doing work on the George Lopez show, and we'll be filming a role in a new movie called The Comebacks. All right, we have something from ROH. Bryan Danielson is still hurting bad and is going to try to finish the rest of the year out. It's largely assumed that he's going to drop the title to Homicide in December if he can make it that long. There is concern that he's doing serious damage by not getting his shoulder worked on. He's severely separated about a month back, but he refuses to take off time at this point.
Interesting.
Bryan Danielson has talked openly of retiring from wrestling and going into the Peace Corps, so I guess there's at least the possibility that his mindset is to finish off his reign this year and then take a long time off from wrestling.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You'll never see that Bryan Danielson guy again ever in 2006.
So he does end up dropping the belt to Homicide in December, and that match is fucking great. But and then my first live ROH show actually is 2 months after that, where Homicide drops the belt to Morishima in Philly.
That's pretty sweet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's actually incredibly sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He said, so TNA got their 2 hours here this week, and was it a better paced show? Hell no. Instead of packing 2 hours of programming into 1 hour like they normally do, they packed no less than 4 hours of programming into 2 hours.
Oh, no.
Also, Dixie Carter and reps from Spike, Midway Games, and Marvel were all sitting front row at the Genesis 2006 pay-per-view.
Wow.
And apparently they sold out so hard that about 100 fans were turned away at the door.
Wow.
Whoa, okay.
Alvarez says also that there is a new product being taped called Wrestling Society X. They taped 10 TV shows this past week. And he says that he got mixed reviews. Some people said at the show that they'd never see this taken off. And others said it was a great time. Sean Waltman was said to be loaded for much of the weekend. And according to multiple
and he
sources,
wouldn't stop coming out and crotch chopping.
in street clothes.
Yeah.
And according to multiple sources, Vampiro nearly got into it with Sean Waltman, with both him and Teddy Hart.
Oh, wow. Shocking. Those three. Plug in the Patreon. We watched every episode of Wrestling Society X in our $5 tier, by the way. You can check that out. Watch this, baby.
And spoiler, we really enjoyed it.
It's fucking awesome, actually. And we wish it would come back. Yeah.
And the last bit of information here, Nickelodeon is adding a show called Whack Wrestling, which appears to be a Kaiju Big Battle ripoff.
Wait, do you remember that?
I don't know what that is. That's why I wrote it down. I wanted to see if you guys knew what it was.
Was it WACK?
WACK Wrestling.
Do you know what the WAC stands for?
What?
Well, maybe.
Wrestling Association of Championship Crushers.
Okay.
Okay,
True.
Sure. I didn't know it was an acronym. Observer from December 12th, 1999. Of course, the very first thing that Meltzer wants you to understand, and he's to correct what was said on ECW television that week.
Okay.
The Limp Bizkit concert did not draw 16,000 fans like they said on ECW. The building only holds 8,000.
Oh, damn it. Come on, Meltzer. You can't help out Fred here. Let him have a little.
MTV News also played the angle on its regular rotation in midweek and plugged the entire angle would air on the TNN show.
She kind of looks like Pink, actually, too.
Yeah, you're right.
It might actually just be Pink. I actually don't know.
It actually
Could be Linda
is
Ellerby.
just Pink.
It could be. I don't think it's Linda Ellerby. Sorry. So yeah, it was MTV News things that had footage that they're going to also show on the ECW show, and they said the full clip is going to be shown on ECW this Friday on on TNN, which I was like, wow.
No, they say the
sick.
Nashville network.
Yeah, TNN network. Yeah.
So we also have a few other things, not too much since we've already covered this week, but Dusty Rhodes debuted in December on the TNN tapings in Atlanta to a sellout 2,000 fans.
Whoa.
Before the show, Joey Styles announced that Rhodes was there but couldn't appear on television for legal reasons. But this was just a work to make people think he wasn't going to do an angle in ECW.
Oh, okay.
Now, the big one here is there were rumors all week regarding Shawn Michaels coming to ECW.
What?
What?
Yeah, I wrote down here. Obviously, it would not be wrestling, but according to the Observer show, the deal was basically up to whether McMahon would allow Shawn Michaels to come to ECW.
Oh, because I think, Vince, I don't know if this is when he had a vested interest, because at some point Vince invests $500,000 in ECW. I don't know exactly when that happens, though.
Shawn also wasn't working TV at this time.
Right.
It says here it's more likely to be a one-shot deal for a pay-per-view or an angle and the pay-per-view, rather than any chance of a full-time gig.
Yeah, he would have came in because he wants to super kick Shane Douglas.
Yeah, just leave. So Shawn Michaels was not wrestling on the time. He wasn't on TV, and he was still getting sent $15,000 a week to basically just
not go to WCW.
Yeah, literally exactly what it was. Not
go to
WCW.
WCW.
I'm gonna get that deal from you boys soon. I'm telling you that much.
Do not go anywhere else. We beg you.
Wasn't Sean doing the Texas Wrestling Academy stuff?
He was training Brian Danielson. Yeah,
Danielson.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
Danielson.
and Spanky.
He was at the whoa. Let's talk a little bit about the ratings and things happening around the world of wrestling.
Now, what did this show do? What did it do? Tony, take a guess.
Whatever I say is you're gonna edit this in, okay?
Tony, that was wrong. I don't know why you said that. That was a stupid guess.
What do you think it was, Tony?
I don't know. 6, 7. What was it doing at the time?
Dumbass. Obviously not. Obviously, James knows what the rating was. James, what's your guess on the rating here?
I'm thinking like a 4.3.
Yeah, it was a 3.7. You're right.
3.7. What did I say?
That's
before?
what you said. You said 3.7. Yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
what you said. That was great.
Let's get it rocking.
Tony said 6. Stupid.
Dumbass idiot.
What's wrong with this guy? Where'd he go?
I hate the show.
You get back here. You sit your ass down, son.
Listen. It was a debut episode of a new show. I thought
What'd you say?
Hey, you get back here.
You go back now, here.
why do I do this fucking show? I don't even
Who are you talking to?
Yeah,
Lily
what's going
Doll?
on? Hey.
Fucking ratings. Every
Talking to
week
your
with
wife?
the fucking
Put her on the show. Anyway, what are you saying?
Go on.
Yeah.
Let's get
What
into the
happened?
Wrestling Observer notes, yeah?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so Wrestling Observer, July 27th, 1998. Surprisingly, not very much going on in the context of wrestling now compared to then. It was
No one
mostly just
fighting.
WWF versus WCW ratings, quarters, all that kind
No
of
drugs.
stuff. Which I don't really want to bring up right now. I don't, you know, quarter hour.
For
and all
heat.
that
No,
shit.
not really. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. But a little bit before, this is July 27th, so it's a little bit before Heat debuted.
Okay.
Up to this point, they didn't even really know what this show was
Really?
on July 27th. Yeah. So
And
all
this
we
is
know
on
is
August 2nd it airs, right?
so it's the week of, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
WWF will be running a 1-hour primetime show on the USA Network on Sunday nights from, I believe, August 2nd to August 30th.
Okay.
Starting at 7 p.m. So what Tony said earlier, it was only supposed to last for, what'd you say, 6 episodes?
6
Yes.
episodes, what they had slotted in
This
there,
was
which is
taped
crazy.
on the 27th.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
taped it
you're
during
right.
Raw, right?
After Raw.
After Raw,
Yes.
yeah.
So they went in and had no fucking idea what was going on.
Not even a little bit.
That's awesome.
They Meltzer writes, exactly what the show will entail hasn't been 100% finalized, but the leading idea seems to be to do a show with a live feel that would actually be taped at the tapings, probably starting in Anaheim and San Diego, but
Yeah.
be similar to a Raw.
There wasn't necessarily like a big match on the show, but it did feel like matches that could have fit on Raw at the time. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you
Like,
definitely didn't see like B quality
That main event,
type
actually-
stuff.
I'll take it back. That main event could have been just on Raw. That was a big main event.
Big main event and solid work match, yeah.
Yeah.
So also on the next Observer, Wrestling Observer from August 3rd, 1998. Like I said, not much information otherwise, but I just thought this was a good tidbit here. ECW has offered Mike Awesome a full-time position in the company.
Wow.
It's a tricky deal politically because ECW has become aligned with FMW, and Awesome is the top foreigner with FMW, and it could ruin relations if FMW sees it as Heyman trying to take their top gaijin. Heyman's political positioning is to attempt to sign Awesome to a full-time ECW deal, but have him continue to work FMW when FMW needs him, although there's no way he continued to work 30 weeks a year in Japan like he was before.
Wow, is that what he was doing?
Yeah, so I guess I didn't even realize he was working FMW that often. Like he was basically just living in Japan pretty much.
That's a lot of math
as
for me to do, but
Gladiator.
that's more weeks out of the year than not, I believe.
Yeah, that's a ton.
Yes, yeah.
And that's a big turning point for them. Mike Awesome was a huge deal for them, champion forever, and then he went, of course, to WCW and ran 100 gimmicks too. And I mean, Mike Awesome honestly is one of those stories where it honestly
What
should have
could have
worked
been.
out. Yeah, it honestly should have worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least we have good memories of him, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Observer, August 6, 2001. This is the very first time that we find out the actual purchase price of WCW from Time Warner, which, of course, ended up to be $2.5 million.
That sounds insanely low.
So in the records, it's always been said it's insanely low, but for some context, the WWF actually spent less money on buying WCW than the $2.9 million it spent on a race car, or the money it spent annually just for the travel of the Inner Circle guys to and from television tapings in a private jet.
Sammy Guevara is getting flipped. They spent $2.9 million on a race car?
Yeah.
No way.
How crazy is
they
that?
They bought
I've never heard
WCW
that.
for 2.2?
2.5.
2 point. That's what I said,
That's
right?
what you
2.5.
said. Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 million. It is holy shit, man. I imagine if that was now, and how many fucking Kickstarters there'd be to buy WCW.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been a mess. I think they had originally said it was somewhere near 5, and then it came out on August 6th that it was 2.5.
Because I remember Chris Jericho saying, "I would have just fucking bought that then."
Yeah. I think, a lot of guys would have. Of course, I think Bischoff wanted to, but without TV, there was really no point.
I think the what was it, Fusion or whatever it was. He was trying to get something going with them, and there's kind of yes. I guess it was I don't know if that was a TV group or if that was like a production group. I think it was a production group.
Well, funny enough, on Wrestling TV, it has some stuff later from the Observer, which we can bring back around to this. So I'll talk about it in a minute. Of course, with WCW and ECW going out of business, the wrestling world just got shook up real bad. There's not, a lot of guys don't have fucking work right now, and until TNA starts up in about a year, there's really not anything for anyone to do.
No,
so
I guess there's a couple
trying
indies,
to,
but
well, you ain't making money. You know what I mean? Ain't making money there. So along the lines of people starting companies, Vince Russo is attempting to start a new promotion that would run outside the United States, mainly Europe and Australia, called World Wrestling All-Stars.
Oh, which is really the precursor to TNA.
Yeah, it is. You can listen to it a little bit on the My World podcast with
Tremendous
Jeff Jarrett.
stuff. Yeah,
which is pretty cool, pretty interesting.
There's actually some pretty crazy stories about WWA and like the guy that was helping them kind of promote that, and it's definitely well worth listening to.
Meltzer writes, legendary garbage wrestler Atsushi Onita became the third Japanese pro wrestler elected to the House of Councilors, the Senate, as a member of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party.
That's sick. Dude, imagine being that over, that you just get elected to government because you're sweet, especially a deathmatch guy. Fuck. I mean, that's like crazy to think that how popular he got and because of he blew himself up a lot.
Legendary garbage wrestler.
That's what I want to be known as, even if I don't wrestle.
That's awesome. So, of course, talking about ECW and the lawsuits, the stack of lawsuits that they had to go through here because they owed so many people money. It's insane. But, of course, ECW came out with a video game, and it was made by Acclaim Entertainment.
And it sucked.
Yeah, sadly it did.
All those Acclaim games sucks, man. They're all bad. Attitude and both ECW games, fuck.
So Acclaim officially filed as an attempt to take over all the ECW assets based on a 1999 deal between Acclaim and Paul Heyman. Says here in 1999 and 2000, Acclaim kept ECW afloat when its financial situation became precarious, with a series of loans that ended up totaling $1.5 million.
Oh my God.
In exchange, the company gave 15% ownership to Acclaim, more than whatever is left of ECW is currently worth.
No shit.
He goes on to say the contract gave Acclaim a security interest in ECW, which they are using to say they are claiming as a secured creditor. The loans have not been repaid, and that gives them legal right to foreclose on ECW. So Acclaim, if they win the lawsuit, would garner control of the remaining company assets, which would include whatever pay-per-view revenue is still owed by In Demand, as well as all the trademarks, and which the trademarks have become way more valuable because the WWF is using them on television now. And as well as a videotape library that WWF would want. So basically, Acclaim was just trying to use the money to sell to WWF is kind of the idea.
Yeah, so they wanted to just fold ECW and have all their shit.
Right, and sell them out to the highest bidder pretty much.
Holy shit.
Acclaim, of course,
How did they
goes out of business
not
anyways.
win that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
It wasn't like right
how soon
after.
But, yeah.
I
Damn.
can check the exact date.
How the hell did Paul E pull any of like? How did he convince I mean, I guess ECW was like a hot enough product that, you know, a video game company would say, hey, you know, I want to keep you around so we keep making games. I don't even know if the ECW video game sold well enough for them to be convinced to fucking vest that much interest in the 1.5 million, which I don't even know if Paulie was even spending that in a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Acclaim went out of business 2004. They had a bad years. 2003. And then filed for bankruptcy in 2004.
Wow. Okay.
So
what was it? Was it Hardcore Revolution and Anarchy Rules, right?
Yes, I believe
Anarchy Rules was the second one, or was that the first one?
Of course, Acclaim made like the WrestleMania games and stuff like that too.
Yes.
And then
Anarchy Rules is the sequel. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find any numbers on Anarchy Rules like game sales. Yeah, so I'm looking at here, VG charts. I don't know how accurate this has a lot of good shit on wrestling games, but it says ECW Anarchy Rules, which was the second ECW game, did 0.06 million in North America, which I think is like 60,000. 0.04 in Europe, 40,000, so 100,000 there, and then 0.01 others. So 0.11 million overall. So like probably 100,000 or so sold for that game. So crazy to think that they were so invested in ECW when it wasn't really doing tremendous game numbers, but maybe there was more to it that they saw.
Yeah, maybe something down the line, or
they were just banking on it folding. They were like, hey, look at this shit. It's going to definitely die. We can get some from this.
Yeah, that's also true.
That's probably what it was, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sorry, you can't beat Paulie. He's got a rabbit foot at all times. So. Yeah. So the Observer, August 13th, 2001, Steve Corino sold his Pennsylvania Wrestling Federation company to Rob Dimension, who has renamed it the Premier Wrestling Federation.
You don't say.
And funny enough, it is still the Premier Wrestling Federation, and that is actually the company that my school actually runs.
Yeah, so. Very much not in Pennsylvania anymore either.
No, absolutely not. If you guys want to check it out, by the way, I never mentioned it on the show or anything, but PWF ran a show recently called No Budget for Ice Cream Bars. If you guys would like to check it out on IWTV, I did commentary for the whole show. So if you want to check that out, it is on IWTV.
Did you go under an alias? Were you Jizzy Dizzy?
That's just James.
Oh.
No last name, just James. I'm mysterious.
Can you be Dick the Cock Johnson on the
Yeah, next time I can be. Sure. Well, everyone's the Cock now, so I can just be James the Cock or something.
James, yeah, that's true.
James Johnson the Cock.
James Johnson sounds pretty sweet, actually.
We also had some more notes here. The streak ended, says Meltzer. The streak ended with the August 6th Raw from Anaheim. What? Meltzer writes, are you wondering what streak? He says, the streak of good shows.
What the fuck? He's taking liberties. All right, that's awesome.
Meltzer reports that Jim Ross met with Rey Mysterio Jr. and he also believes Juventud Guerrera. They contracted Mysterio Jr., which means he'll likely be offered a deal after his Time Warner contract expires.
Okay.
But they don't really know about Juventud because of a drug issue from Australia, which may be a roadblock for him. Combined with the fact that WWF has the roster of 90,000 people currently, and hiring new people is not really on the top of the list here.
I don't. Maybe you remember when Hoovy does come in. Do they do anything, even one promo with him and The Rock? Because his whole thing at the end of WCW was "I'm The Rock."
Yeah, I don't know if they ever even crossed.
If they ever crossed, yeah, maybe not. He was the Juice, though, but they didn't like have him do any of the shtick, which. Damn it.
Yeah, true. We get more notes from Observer from August 20th. There is a promotion called World Extreme Wrestling. We looked over this a few times.
We struggled with this. Yeah.
It is not World Extreme Wrestling. It's World Extreme. So there's an E at the beginning. Meltzer is claiming that this company has a 12-show pay-per-view deal with DirecTV starting in January. Meltzer then says that it sounds like there's going to be a lot of pay-per-views over the next year from a lot of different companies that nobody buys.
But we couldn't find anything on this. At first, when James told me it, I thought he was talking about women's extreme wrestling, which was also known as women's erotic wrestling, which was pretty much just like customs on pay-per-view taped at the ECW arena. Which, let me go down some of their shows if you don't mind, James, real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Their first event was Extreme Ho Fair Volume 1, which was main evented by Lady Storm versus G.I. Ho. Let's see. Queen Ho of the Ring WEW busted in Miami. Deep Impact.
I did not think you were going to say Miami.
Here's one for you. WEW kicking ass ghetto booty style, which had G.I. defend the WEW World Championship against Dawn May. WEW hot booties get kicked, which of course was main evented by Pussy Willow versus Gorgeous George.
I wonder what G.I.Ho's up to.
G.I. is gonna be on fucking DPW.
Yeah, I gotta find G.I.Ho. What's going on?
I can't get these names. This sounds like all of our show names. WEW Big Pimpin' Booty Kicks Butt. WEW Evolution of the Erotic Extreme, which was main evented by Jazz versus Wildfire in a flaming tables match.
Whoa, that's awesome. They're way ahead of their time.
WEW No Rear Entry. True. No Hose Barred. That's awesome.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and it looks like their last show was WEW Nude Street Fight on July 12th.
They tape trade these?
I think so. Wait, WEW Nude War Games?
Anybody got these tapes?
I need these tapes. We need to do a WEW SGH or something.
Yeah, we need the tapes ASAP.
Yeah, Big Pimpin' Booty Kicks Butt. Anyway, this has nothing to do with what we were talking about.
That's not World Extreme Wrestling, but
sorry,
it could be.
No,
yeah,
it should be.
We don't know what this is, so if someone has anything on that.
I don't know what that is either.
Observer, August 27, 2001. This goes back to what I said earlier about Bischoff not wanting to buy WCW because they didn't have TV.
Sure.
But Meltzer reports here that USA Network is actually willing to air other wrestling. But here's the catch. They want $5 million per year for a noon to 1 p.m. Saturday time slot.
Oh, man. Wow. Who's awake? I've never been awake at that time in my life.
That'd be a tough one. But I guess if Bischoff really wanted to, he could figure something out there.
You think it would have been worth it?
No,
probably not, right?
Absolutely
not even with that. Not even with that brand WCW. Like, I don't know if that would have been, especially at that time. Like, no one's tuning in at noon for a fucking Nitro or whatever.
Absolutely not. Also, X-Pac, after all the criticism, is dumping his Uncle Cracker entrance music and replacing it with a version of Saliva's "Your Disease."
James told me that, and it stunned me because. I mean, the song, not that I can't see X-Pac coming out to that, but like, it just doesn't seem like it'd be a real thing. And then I looked to see, because I was like, damn, they must have used this in WWE one time, but I can only find that it was like 14 different people's themes in OVW.
Yeah, does anyone know if they use this on like a pay-per-view or a wrestler on the main roster
had to
or something?
have, right?
Yeah, because I even looked at the Saliva Your Disease music video and someone said, like attitude era, ruthless aggression in the comments. So like someone
it just feels like it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like they just put that or if someone knew.
Jillian Hall used it in OVW as well as Joe Dirt and Ken Anderson.
Joe Dirt.
Joe Dirt.
Yeah,
you know,
very good. Yeah, of course I know
the
Joe.
movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was remake it.
The movie is based on the wrestler
Joe Dirt. Kick Wing Animal Doctor used it.
As sparklers. On October 5th, 1998, we have some things here. James Pulse Darnell Jizzy Dizzy got all these for us, by the way, so shouts out to James.
Awesome.
As expected, Scott Norton became only the third American ever and first in more than 7 years to win the IWGP Heavyweight title when he scored the pin on unlikely main event opponent Yuji Nagata on the New Japan Big Wednesday show on 9/23 at the Yokohama Arena before 14,000 fans. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Whoa, that's awesome. Scott, this was during the WCW New Japan deal, right? He was probably part of NWO.
Did he ever?
Squad, right?
I don't know if would you know this? Did he ever come out on WCW TV with the IWGP belt? Oh wow. That's so weird. You know what? I think I've also seen a picture of Virgil holding that belt too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
While this is not confirmed, this does come from people very close to the situation that the Giant is either very close to or has completed a deal to go to the WWF. He's been talking loudly about it for weeks, and some think he's doing that more as a way to get Bischoff's attention and make sure the rumor gets started. So Big Show is coming in pretty soon here, and as you know, he shows up in February at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So it's pretty.
Don't call it a comeback.
Pretty.
Big Show was very
unhappy with his pay, and they said, "Yeah, I don't think you need any more money."
Fuck. Yeah, well.
That's literally what it was, because he's like, "I'm
worked
on."
out for him, I think.
Because he was on the same level as Hogan at some points during his, because he was champion and whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, I should get paid as much as Hogan." They're like, "Yeah, you're like
that doesn't work for me,
you're
brother.
Like 1 year in the biz, brother. Come on."
Yeah. Here's a fun little one. Raven, Chris Jericho, and Disco Inferno will be appearing soon on an episode of The Dating Game. Pulse says here we should watch this, so maybe we'll watch that.
The
at some
Dating
point.
Game. Whoa.
The dating. Bret and Owen Hart did work together on an episode of the TV show Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Pulse says, yeah, we should watch this too.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a TV show? Okay.
Yeah.
The 90s were different, man. They made a TV show out of movies all the time.
I wonder what Bret and Owen were doing. You think they shrink Bret and Owen? Little baby Bret and Owen?
Whoa. And they maybe think they're action figures, but they're not. They're actually people. Whoa. That'd be crazy. They're like playing with little Bret and Owen, but they're
You got one of these?
They're wrestling in like a tiny LJN ring or something.
Oh my God.
That would be... Oh, why don't we write for this show? That'd be crazy.
I know.
Does your family dress for dinner?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Good. We hate to eat naked.
That's so much.
WWF is working with A&E on a movie about the life of Andre the Giant. Should be one entertaining work of fiction.
Is that in the...
That's what it says. That's, I think Meltzer
What's
wrote
awesome
that,
is that this is still true today. Whenever WWE
didn't
works
they do one
on
of those recently?
When WWE works on something, you're like, yeah, we'll see how they spin this to benefit them. That's funny.
From The Observer on October 12th, 1998, which I believe is a week after the episode we're about to watch here. Kurt Angle, who signed in August with the World Wrestling Federation, who captured a gold in freestyle at 220 in the 1996 games, is attempting to make pro wrestling a full-time career.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, it'll never work out.
I just don't see it. He should go work at the bingo hall with Raven and Taz and Tommy Dreamer.
It's very crazy because he could have just flopped when he was like, yeah, I'm getting booed. This isn't working.
Yeah.
But he just, he's awesome.
Both Raw and Nitro have garnered more mainstream publicity stemming from how the Monday Night Wrestling ratings war has affected the ratings for Monday Night Football, which is pretty interesting to think that, like, I mean, because now I feel like every time a show's running against football, it's like, that's a crutch. Like, oh, this didn't do well because of football. Right. But now, back then it was like, football's getting fucked by wrestling.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Jaguar Yokota 37 will have her final match on 12/26 at Tokyo Araki. Fuck, I fucked that up. Fix that. Tokyo Coliseum, as part of the interpromotional show that Japanese TBS will be carrying as their experiment to see if women's wrestling can be primetime television fare once again. Her opponent will be decided in a fans balloting, so there's a good chance of the first ever meeting of Yokota versus Manami Toyota as the main event. Paul says, I saw Jaguar Yokota wrestle at a Diana Dojo show in Japan in 2019, LMAO.
Whoa.
Which is pretty fucking crazy to think that, like, she was still working in 2019 when she was a part of, like, them testing out to see if women's wrestling
and she
will
was
be
37
like a
at the time. They're
37. Yes.
Whoa,
unbelievable.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's fucking sweet.
This Japanese women's wrestling will never take off. I could guarantee that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Vader, Leon White, of course, will be finishing up at the end of the month as both sides have agreed to a contract release, which will allow them to work anywhere in the world except WCW. It appears it was a mutual deal. Pulse says, "Fuck the WWE." Damn, man. I mean, and we'll talk about it on this retro show, but how the fuck did they fumble on Vader so hard, man? God damn.
I mean, there's theories left and right about what went wrong with Vader, but...
Yeah, Sean happened, Tony. You're
no,
fucking boy.
Sean would never do that. He was a good, clean Christian boy. He would never do that.
So, February 11th, 2008, F4W number 659, which is meaning this is Brian Alvarez writing.
Yes.
So, we're going to start off with this one here. He says,
all right.
I think most people know the story by now. Former WWE champion Brock Lesnar, 30 years old, made his UFC debut against former heavyweight champion Frank Mir. He got tapped out in 90 seconds to a knee bar.
Jesus, that's so crazy. I remember that fucking going down. Like,
he rushed him too at the beginning. Like, it looked like he had the agility to get something done there, and Mir just... Man, I remember that one. Alvarez says, on paper, that sounds pretty bad, but it really wasn't. It was one of the greatest things to happen in the UFC in a long, long time, with many ramifications for the future. He says, when thinking of dozens of different best-case scenarios, this one might be right near the top. and some would ever argue that nothing better could have happened in this match than Frank Mir tapping him in 90 seconds.
He fucking put him in toe lock.
Somebody.
Yeah.
We also have news on Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was officially released on Monday and actually got a best of luck in his future endeavors notification. No word on his future just yet.
He'll never amount to anything after this.
Thank God they would never put the fucking title on that guy. Thank God.
Speaking of guys leaving and moving places, Chris Harris has announced on his website that he is going to WWE.
Oh,
Braden Walker.
Oh, Chris Harris. Fuck, man, that's still like such a sore spot for me, man. Because like I thought that fucker was awesome. I thought he was the Shawn Michaels. I swore he was.
So did I. I did.
Man. It's crazy how things actually turned out.
Yeah, man. James Storm became the fucking dude.
Raven is finished with TNA and will be opening up a wrestling school. Alvarez writes, well, maybe he's asking around on his website to see if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was.
Was anyone around in 2008 on the Raven website answering his polls about wrestling schools?
It's like the Ryback tweet poll.
What do you think we should do? Start a wrestling school, go TNA, or retire?
Retire. Hold on. I got to try again.
That was the wrong poll. Let me do another one. F4W 660, February 18th, 2018.
Yes.
Or 2008. It says
holy shit.
we went. Well, we got to make the noise for.
What'd you say it was?
February 18th, 2008.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yes,
that's
what I think. It says here, in a surprise to many, the CW announced last week that they are not going to renew SmackDown for another season, meaning the final show on the network will take place on September 12th, 2008.
Wait, where do they go after that? I don't even remember. They go to My Network or whatever the fuck it is?
We should maybe check out
SmackDown.
We should check out the last CW SmackDown.
Yeah, you see.
Was it on CW or was it My Network?
My Network is CW.
They got renamed from CW to My Network?
Yeah.
It's My TV Network or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that just unlocked the memory. Remember,
my mind.
It was either the last episode on Spike or the last episode on USA where they kept mentioning where they were going. And they were getting bleeped the whole time. And like, they had to like kind of fight with the show because the network kept bleeping it. We got to watch that fucking episode.
They had to find ways to tell you.
Yeah.
And eventually they said it so much that the fucking network just gave up. And like, either like put up a graphic cutting off the show or something crazy happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got to fucking watch that one.
Alvarez writes, WWE, after hearing that CW was informing its affiliates that the relationship was finished. Now, listen to that. WWE wasn't even informed by CW until they had already told its affiliates.
Wow.
They're going to try to jump on things by sending out a press release attempting to downplay the news, basically claiming that the two sides had mutually agreed to go their separate ways, but the reality was different because most of the trade publications reported the story for what it really was, that CW was walking away after key points and the negotiations fell through. And it is believed that the key point and the reason the relationship failed was the price. CW was willing to keep the show if WWE was willing to take a cut in rights fees, and WWE
no fucking way.
was
Dude, there's no way.
There's
WWE
no
was
way.
probably like doing crazy numbers for them too, right?
I
like,
assume
it's
so.
the best show. Usually that's
But,
what
I
wrestling
mean,
What else
shows
was
are.
on CW besides Superman?
Judge
or
Joe
whatever?
Brown? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fucking true. Cop reruns. I mean, like CW and My TV Network, they get local stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's super cheap. WWE
Judge
probably
Judy.
not super cheap. So
Judge shows.
the judge shows are cheap and they get crazy
There's
ratings.
no way they would have taken a pay cut. Fuck that.
Yeah, no way.
Hell no.
It says here, John Laurinaitis announced in a meeting last week that WWE was officially severing ties with Danny Davis's Ohio Valley Wrestling, and that all contracted talent would have a month to relocate to the new Florida Championship Wrestling, now the only remaining WWE developmental territory.
I watched the Nova Simon Dean shoot interview, and he talks about when that happened, and because he was like in the office at the time, and him and John Laurinaitis went to OVW, went to Danny Davis's office, and John Laurinaitis was like, "This shit sucks. This is fucking horrible, and you're fucking done. We're cutting you off." And Danny Davis was like, "All right, well, this is all my shit, so get all your shit out of here because this is my ring and my building."
Damn.
And John Laurinaitis looks over at Nova, who was like, I think friends with Danny Davis, and he's like, "All right, Nova, get the fucking truck." And like, and Nova looks at it and he says, "Oh, sorry, I got to get the truck." So he goes and they fucking have all the wrestlers tear all their shit down, all the banners, and like I think they take all the barricades and shit like that, and just kind of gut the whole fucking place and ship them off to FC Dub.
That was just a big league thing. WWE could have bought all that shit.
Yeah, it said, fuck you. Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck you.
John Laurinaitis standing his ground for the WWE. Stand up for WWE. We have F4W number 661. This is February 25th, 2008. We had Tank Abbott versus Kimbo Slice here recently, which it's a pretty infamous fight in the world of mixed martial arts.
Sure, absolutely is, man. Because Kimbo was like, not like a freak show attraction, but he was like, backyard guy that everyone's like, hey, fucking get this guy out of here.
And they did, and he turned into a pretty big deal, man. His fights were fun to watch. The dude just rushed people and tried to stand up with them, and like that shit was pretty cool. Whether he won or lost, I mean, whatever. Yeah. Alvarez writes, this fight was like a Greek myth come to life in 2008. There may never he said there may never be another fight like this one, and if so, probably not for another generation.
I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is the fucking Kimbo Dada 5000 fight, which is just like one of the best fucking things ever. Just two big fuckers, super gassed. I'm pretty sure Dada 5000 went to the hospital from a heart attack from that fight.
What? No
it's
way.
like, if you haven't seen, we should watch that for fucking watch.
We should watch some of those on Watch This. Put the Tank Abbott one on there. And
let's just do the Kimbo Slice matches. Yeah,
Kimbo Month.
We'll just get those matches, man. They're fun. They're fun to
That'd be
watch.
sweet. Yeah, I'm down.
We also have some news here. Apparently, the reason the last ROH pay-per-view didn't air in Canada and the next ones will not air in Canada either is because ROH Man Up did 36 buys in Canada.
What? You mean like 3,600, right?
36
buys. People in Canada.
36? 36 people in Canada bought that?
RS writes, that's a tragedy. He says, I know.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it is. Holy shit.
RS writes, I know Lance Storm bought that show, so that leaves 35 more people.
Chris Jericho, maybe?
Yeah, probably not even Jericho. Jericho's busy. Fozzing.
So we have some other news here. As expected, IWGP champion Shinsuke Nakamura beat IWGP V3 champion Kurt Angle in a unification match in the main event of the New Japan show on February 7th. Match only went 13:55, but was said to be excellent.
I don't know if I've ever seen that match.
It was fine.
Okay.
I don't think it was excellent, but it was. I mean, maybe it's just because age has kind of passed it by at this point. But it was
sure. I'm sure at the time it was probably crazy. I wish I was more. I wish I was more into it at that time because, like, Kurt being there and Brock kind of being around. Like, I don't think the matches, from what I understand, were all timers, like you were saying. But like, just experiencing that probably would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
Was New Japan even doing their Ustream shit back then, or was that just you had to straight up wait for it to air on fucking somewhere and then download
you had to
it
wait
on Pro
for
Wrestling
TNA Global Impact DVDs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was pretty much. I mean, I remember the Ustream, and that was the worst ever. And
it was fucking brutal.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Was that when Ustream had like tickets? You had to buy tickets, or was it free on there?
It was a ticket thing. Yeah.
The only time it ever worked is when they did it free. If they tried to do the tickets, it never worked.
Yeah, trying to watch the fucking G1 on there was brutal.
It was actually the worst ever, I think. And I say that now, but then they got Jeff Jarrett to come in and they did Wrestle Kingdom 9, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was a disaster too. So they just couldn't catch a break with that. But
oh well.
At least they got it now, right?
Eventually, yeah. When no one wants to watch. Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh damn.
But this is a pretty big deal. Nakamura, they just need to get the title off Angle.
Yeah.
Because Inoki had started his new Fed, and they didn't want that title situation or whatever. So it's pretty history wise pretty.
That is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Apparently TNA has signed Samoa Joe to a long term deal.
Now hold on.
We'll revisit that later.
Okay, great. I was gonna say there's conflicting reports here.
And in the last bit of news here, in good news for TNA, they snagged the Jakks Pacific deal that will be expiring soon with WWE.
Wow.
WWE in turn announced that they will be moving to Mattel. Both deals, however, don't go into effect until 2010, so TNA has to survive at least 2 more years.
I don't know how long the Jakks fucking deal with TNA lasted, but WWE is obviously still doing things with Mattel, so
yeah, that's true.
Goes to show you.
The only reason they got that deal was because of the ring, right? Wasn't that the thing?
Yeah, that was their OG ones. That was Toy Biz.
Right. I forgot about that.
But the ring thing was more them being able to get space in Toys R Us. Because Toys R Us saw it and we're like, whoa, that ring is fucking different and cool.
Okay. So it's a Toys R Us thing. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, but like Toy Biz and Marvel, I think is what they went to as well.
Marvel Toys, yeah.
Yes, Marvel Toys. And then Jakks. The Jakks figures were cool, man. I have a couple. I have the Shark Boy one Desmond
Cases
Wolf.
were cool.
Yeah, the boxes were pretty sweet.
I'd punch a hole through them suckers so quick.
You're a fucking sick bastard. You are. Something fucking wrong with you, man.
They look cool.
That's why I can't buy you figures as
Give
gifts.
it a work punch. No, you could, dude.
No, bro, I can't.
You can. You did, and I have it. So it was
dude,
all
you
good.
tore it to shreds right in front of me.
Yeah.
And then you were giving me heat because I didn't buy a signed fucking Rio one for you at AEW. Fuck
So you
that.
can tear that to shreds.
Put a hole in it.
Well, you know, it would go. I'd be like, "Oh my dude, Johnny, wow, this is so cool," and then you just hear.
Would you at least keep the plastic that she signed?
Yeah, I'll cut that part out or whatever.
Great.
I'll put it on a little stand for you and
Great.
then
Thanks.
step a fucking hole in the box. Otherwise, fucking piece of shit. They just start selling the figures loose. Actually, they should start selling the figures with triple boxes so I can just keep smashing my fist when it
Come
open
on,
next
the
one.
boxes look
Open
cool,
next one.
man. You hang them up on the wall. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's too much room
whatever,
taken up.
bro.
That was my problem with collecting toys when it came to like inbox stuff. Like
Yeah.
at some point I'm like, damn, I subconsciously stopped displaying them.
Fuck you, bro. You just moved. You got plenty of walls now.
Yeah, you're right. Now I got a whole room I can put shit in now. But
Good hell now.
well, I mean, you guys got to stay in there, so I got to leave some room for you guys.
Oh, here
to
we go.
Stay in there, so you know.
You stay in hell.
Yeah, well, I got room for you. It's super hell.
Yeah.
And all it is boxes all fucked up. There's no figures in the room. It's just shitty boxes.
Wow. That's disgusting, actually.
Well, I'm glad TNA survived another 2 years so they get that deal.
Hopefully. Maybe.
The Observer, October 7th, 2002. This is on the exact date that Raw aired. We'll also be talking about the week after it aired, but we'll start here.
Sure.
So the very first thing is when Vince McMahon was asked if he wanted to bring back ECW. Now remember, this is October 7th, 2002. He was asked if he wanted to bring back ECW. He talked about wanting to do so and giving it a late night time slot as a separate entity.
What?
According
Really?
to one person at the meeting, to say that response was even flippant about an overstatement. McMahon was also talking about wanting to purchase the rights to ECW footage in bankruptcy court. Now, Vince said that one day they may make ECW a third brand, but right now they are struggling to establish Raw and SmackDown as separate brands.
That was the same pitch that for me to be in Deadlock. You have a late night slot.
It changed, so. just like this one changed, it changed. So.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Vince McMahon was also asked in a meeting about the different assets outside of WWE because WWE was trying to run a couple businesses at the time. They had WWF New York. In the meeting, McMahon admitted that SmackDown Records was a mistake. So SmackDown Records was a publishing label for albums and music.
I wonder how many things was actually published on SmackDown Records. I feel like we talked about this before, and I think
we did. There was Neurotica. Remember that? That was the only thing I can think of for
that's
SmackDown
right.
Records. They were like the SmackDown Records band. I don't remember.
So
he said
They
that
were
was a
headless.
mistake.
yeah. I hate Neurotica.
He talked about the idea of using the new movie production company to make low-budget straight-to-video movies involving WWE wrestlers.
Oh, no.
Which on the surface sounds like the latest in a string of unsuccessful non-wrestling moves by WWE.
Yeah, shocking.
Well, they do
should
that
make-
too.
They should do pro wrestlers. I got a good idea. Pro wrestlers versus zombies. They should cut that one out.
That slipped out from underneath them. Sorry.
Damn it.
Vince McMahon also said that the world was horribly mismanaged and lacking in direction. He says with both of those businesses, they are only viable if wrestling is hot as hell. And thankfully it was, but now it is not so much.
So how does that work? Does I mean, obviously I'm not. I don't think Vince was going to the world to work, but like, who did he put in charge of the world? Like, do you think it's somebody that we knew? Do you think like Kevin Kelly was in charge of the world?
Yeah,
Like-
I don't know. I assume he got like an outside company to run most of it,
yeah,
right?
maybe it was just franchised. Fuck it.
That's one guy I know who would work well in that position.
Shane Douglas. How did he not make a business just franchising? That's on its own, bro. What the fuck?
So I don't know if you have any more on the world. I had some info that, like, when they mentioned the world, I wrote stuff down. I don't know if you want to mention it here or later or whatever.
No,
Sure, go for
fuck
it.
So in July, they opened a sister venue in Niagara Falls. It was WWE Niagara Falls, which featured a gift store and a drop tower theme ride.
Now you're talking about those rides where you get in the seat and it takes you up and then just drops you down, right?
Apparently, yeah, it was just
Yeah,
like a
fuck that.
Yeah.
but it wasn't owned by WWE. It was just a licensing agreement through WWE. So I don't know how that works.
It's here. It says that it was started in July of 2002 and it closed in March 2011.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was- Yeah, it was around for a while. And it was like, yeah, it was like the world. It had like figures and shit like in it. Like it was like just a WWE store and all. I don't know if it had a restaurant. I'm assuming it did.
It says Linda McMahon in 2003 closed it down to concentrate more on the global efforts. So that's how they spun it.
What
Of course,
does
the
that
global
mean?
efforts. You know, come on.
Was WWF the world hurting the environment?
They're going to focus more globally than locally in New York. You know what I mean?
I see.
Come on.
Fair enough, of course.
Vince McMahon also talked about creating some sort of service for people to pay to view old tapes. That way, they would try to make money from the company's vast tape library, which includes old WCW tapes.
You know what's crazy is I think even before, like, that's obviously 02, I'm pretty sure Vince was talking about a WWF channel, like, even years before that.
That's pretty crazy. Like, all these
already had that
ideas,
in
I thought
mind.
that was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
seeing it written
Do you
in
guys
2002.
remember WWE On Demand? When was that
Yes,
around?
24/7.
24/7, yeah.
WWE 24/7. Play, rewind, relive.
When was that? When did that happen? Was that
I remember I had
later
24.
on?
Yeah, that was I think like 2007 or
I was young when I
When
saw
was-
24/7 on TV.
When was like the first Money in the Bank? I remember having 24/7 around then. I don't know why I linked that together. but
Classics
that's-
on Demand. That's what it was.
Yeah,
24/7
yeah.
Classics on Demand.
like-
2004, November
I was gonna say
2nd,
Brock
2004.
wow.
Lesnar was still wrestling when 24/7 was around. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
And it was so I don't if for anyone that didn't have 24/7, it was legit just like you would go onto your like satellite or cable thing and go through the WWE on demand menu and you could either buy shit if you didn't have a subscription or if you had a subscription to it, you could just go through and like click on stuff and they would have like best ofs. I'm pretty sure Taz and maybe Joe Styles hosted a few things on there.
They had a Legends of Wrestling thing. Do you remember that? The
Legends of Wrestling
I think that-
Roundtable.
I think that might be on the network now.
It is. I love
or on
Legends
the
of Wrestling
Peacock.
Roundtable. Yeah, it's really good. I'm pretty sure there's an episode where JR shits on TNA of Legends of
Oh,
Wrestling
great.
Roundtable.
That's awesome.
So the WWE developmental roster in 2002 is currently this. I want you to listen to these names.
Sure.
Charlie Haas, Danny and Doug Basham,
Whoa.
Lance Cade,
Whoa.
Kevin Thorne, Travis Tomko, Matt Morgan, Sean O'Hare and Mark Jindrak, Rob Conway, Nick Dinsmore, Shelton Benjamin, Jackie Gata, and Nova.
Are these all names that were just written down, or the only ones you remembered? Are
These
all
were
just
all
the
the names in OVW that
That's
they had.
crazy. All those people.
Whoa.
I can't believe I know all of them.
I know. That's
like-
what I was thinking exactly.
I don't know if stacked is the right word, but they obviously all became something.
Yeah, they used them in some regard, all of them. So
That's so crazy. And like compared to now, some people you never hear of,
You
and
never
then you
even
never
see.
hear of them ever.
Usually developmental, there's like two people that come out of it that you see.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoa.
Right.
That's crazy.
So along in the observers that I was reading through, this is just me talking, but WWE ratings and perception have seemed to nosedive extremely bad over the last year. Sports Illustrated did a piece on how WWE is dying. They just did a straight hit piece about how WWE
Holy
is dying.
shit!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
WWE is now taking shots at Monday Night Football on Raw, which Meltzer said equates now to an ant trash talking an elephant. Which is crazy.
my
Which is crazy because just a few years back, WWF was really hurting the Monday
Hell
Night
yeah.
Football
We
ratings.
even talked about it on the
whooping
pod.
ass.
I think we even mentioned the football.
Raw, football,
yeah.
and Simpsons. That's all. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, and by 2002, just WWF or WB
Yeah.
now just
Fuck you,
completely
WWE.
not a big
Yeah.
part of culture anymore, which
That's
is like
crazy,
insane.
man. Yeah.
Brian Kendrick, his name was Spanky at the time, will be getting a tryout in either Las Vegas or Phoenix on this show or the SmackDown taping, as he's being brought in for both those shows. Gabe
Wow.
Sapolsky from ROH actually mentioned to Meltzer that some of the wrestlers in WWE had started getting tapes, and that would lead to the office getting the tapes because the wrestlers would give them the tapes, and then they would offer the guys spots that way, which was better than sending tapes in and just hoping to
Sure.
someone see it.
Whoa.
Yeah. He gets
Um,
signed, right?
he does
I'm
get signed.
I don't know how soon after that, but obviously, I don't know if it's from that appearance or not, but he does get signed. And,
There was actually stories about Kendrick. He had tried out for WWE before. They told
Yeah.
him no because they weren't really looking for smaller dudes.
Was that the same time as Brian?
Probably, I assume
Because
so.
I think around that time is the same Brian, got a tryout as well, and
They
got
just weren't
turned
looking
down.
for cruiserweights at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, funny enough, now they are. So it's just
Yeah.
timing, really. Because
That's crazy.
Little Guido also got a tryout at both TVs this week in dark matches.
Wow.
And now WWE has expressed interest in loading up on cruiserweights. which
And
obviously
now
we
he's-
know goes to
yeah.
SmackDown.
He's in NXT as Tony D'Angelo now too. That's awesome.
Oh my God! Wow, grew up.
finally made it.
That's
Big
awesome.
Guido, that's awesome.
Yeah, large Guido.
The Observer for October 14th, this is the week after. Only a few things here. I thought this was funny. Hulk Hogan is being sued over a boat he sold for $65,000 on eBay. The buyer is suing Hulk Hogan over the condition of the boat, claiming it was misrepresented in the ad.
Damn, dude.
So Hogan worked this dude, and now he's going to sue him.
I wonder how that ended. Fuck,
I
I'm
actually
kinda-
would be pretty interested to see how that ended.
Yeah. That'd be
Also,
sweet.
one last thing here. More on WWE wrestlers as they are appearing on the show Blind Date. Hurricane ended up
shit.
taping an episode, and the girl who dated Maven fell head over heels for the Hurricane.
Oh my God, that hurt a cock, baby.
So we got to watch that. Put down the list, too.
All right, I got you.
From the Observer, December 30th, 1996. This feels crazy reading that date, but
Yeah.
with the World Wrestling Federation's Shotgun Saturday Night concept only days away from its debut, still very little has been released about the show.
Great.
What
This
is
happened
known,
before.
Sounds like
Yeah.
Sunday Night Heat. That's what happened with Sunday Night
that's
Heat.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, it does sound
all
like
their
that.
spin-off shows kind of go like that.
Yeah.
What is known is that the show will air live in New York from 11 p.m. until midnight on local channels, which is available in most of the 5 boroughs of New York City on cable. So it's like Channel 55 on Long Island, I guess, was a channel that
Okay.
you could get around the area. But yeah, it wasn't like, I don't know if this was like syndicated across anything or like
Who
anywhere
was this show
else.
for?
I guess people in
New
New
York.
York. Yeah, literally just for people in New York.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I think Meltzer went on to say later on, somewhere down the line, that the show didn't even air in the market that he was in, so he had to like go somewhere else to get it, like get a tape, I guess. or
Meltzer had a
something.
tape trade for Shotgun Saturday Night? Oh my God, who do you
Whoa.
think he traded for it? Fucking King of the Death, 95?
Yeah, probably something like that. Meltzer goes on to say it will emanate from different nightclubs, with the January 4th debut being from the Mirage at 610
idea.
West 56th Street in Manhattan, which would have the capacity to hold around 3,000 people if it was all standing room. It is believed there will be 3 live matches plus a series of entertainment and comedy-oriented sketches and attempts to get celebrities as a way to create an aura. That is, it's the new thing to do on a Saturday night.
I did not get that vibe from this.
Are you sure?
This is a Saturday night show live.
They did tell, halfway through the show, they did say, come on out. We still got 30 minutes of matches. I thought that
Yeah,
was
you're
really
right. There's some people outside, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say they showed people in line that probably never got in. What the fuck?
So let's talk
It's
about that
pretty
really
exclusive.
quick.
It's pretty
Yeah,
exclusive.
fair enough.
Yeah, it's exclusive. All right. So Meltzer writes they have a capacity to hold 3,000 people. I want you to keep that number in mind for a minute when we go
3,000
down here.
people.
3,000 people, all standing
Sure.
room capacity for this building.
a lot
So
of
Meltzer goes on to say the biggest names that will appear on the first show are Ahmed Johnson, Goldust, and the Godwins, as most of the group's headliners will
Yeah.
be working in Stockton, California that night.
All my hoggers and my piggers. Hell yeah, baby.
That's fucking true. And that's fucking true. So they had
Absolutely.
all the big names working a show across the country. Like, that's crazy. Because,
Yeah.
later on in the show, Michael Hayes talks about the tour of the West Coast, too.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's right. Was that going on? And that was going on at the same time?
Yep, they were in Stockton,
Oh,
California that night
wow.
already.
Holy
So
shit.
Meltzer goes on to say the show will be more risque than the other WWF programming, but it won't attempt to do anything at the level of ECW, such as brawling in the crowd or juice.
Blood, I assume.
Any
Yeah.
juices?
Yeah, but I can't believe he put juice.
When was this written? Right around 97?
Yeah, it was December 30th, 96. He said there ain't gonna be no juice on Shotgun Saturday night.
No juicers allowed in this fucking club.
That's rough. Also around the same time, December 30th, Meltzer wrote down that WWF will be adding a European heavyweight title with the tournament to be held in Germany in February. So, of
And
course,
Shawn Michaels says, I want that.
for now. Yeah, I only want that. So fuck you, the British Bulldog. You go to hell.
Davey boy, bitch. Fuck you.
Dude, I think we actually have talked about that before on the show.
Yeah,
we
have
did.
talked
We
about
talked
that
about
a
the tournament,
lot.
I think, right? Yeah.
Sean
Yeah.
Big League British Bulldog for no reason. He didn't even want the title, and then went on to like drop it randomly when he's just like, I'm gonna take some time off.
Then
just
the
gave it
comedy
to Triple
segment.
H.
Yeah, I'm
There's
just
a
gonna
comedy
get out of here.
segment. Triple
Yeah.
H takes it.
Yeah. Get bro.
That's whatever. That's Sean in the late 90s.
Yeah, that's
So,
Tony's guy.
Of
And
course,
that's why Sean will always be better than that son of a bitch, Bret, the shit man Hart. One more for the good guys.
Damn, bro. James, you got to start working on this, bro.
Why
You can't let him keep hitting you.
that shit?
You can't keep letting him hit you like this, James. You got to fucking start.
Maybe Shawn Michaels wasn't the best, but
Don't back down, Tony. Fuck this guy.
No,
Fuck this
come on,
guy.
man. Look, man, Brett's
who's
that
Bret Hart
man.
ever beat? Yeah, that's what I thought. Exactly.
Yeah,
Let's
well,
get even
who was
into
on The
that. Can't even-
Simpsons and who wasn't? So
You ever have one of these?
that's something to think about. Keep that in mind.
Good question. That's you, Tony. That's tough. You're right.
So, of course, we have some more information, just a little bit more. There actually, surprisingly enough, wasn't very much in terms of
Shocking.
dirt sheets in the 90s, in 96 to 97.
Sure.
I guess maybe
I thought you were
later
just saying about the
97.
show in general.
Well, no, I mean, in general
Yeah.
about this, most of the dirt sheet stuff around this point was ECW trying to get pay-per-view,
Sure.
which was
And
a
that
big
was
deal at
probably-
the time.
And I imagine most of it was talking about ECW because Paul was just saying, "Hey, this is what's going on, son."
Yeah, he would just tell
Yeah.
Meltzer, "Hey, Meltzer,
Yeah.
please put this
Hey,
in
how's
the
it going?
observer." Yeah.
And at this point, too, WWE was in like a very slump period trying to figure out the Attitude Era.
Right.
So this is a new generation, right?
Yes, it hasn't
Okay.
transitioned yet to the Attitude Era yet.
Because it's still, I mean, this show feels Attitude Era.
This show feels something, and I don't know if that's right. But
Fair enough.
we also have one last bit of information here about the Shotgun Saturday Night. So Meltzer writes after the fact here, the debut of Shotgun Saturday Night on January 4th was largely a flop content and reaction-wise. The show didn't air in the market that he was in, but the reaction was 100% negative by those who called and faxed him information.
Wow.
And
that's
strongly
crazy.
negative for that matter.
Well, Meltzer, I got a bunch of faxes and they said the show was sweet, and one of them was Dracula, and he said, "Come over."
So Meltzer writes, the first show was from the Mirage, which we talked about. It's a New York
Yes,
nightclub.
The nightclub.
Now, remember how many people that place could hold standing room?
It was 3,000,
3,000?
I believe you said. Yeah.
They drew 350 fans.
Oh. Do you think they expected 3,000? Because it looked pretty packed in tight for the shot. So I don't know if that was a thing they called on the fly, because I can't imagine 3,000 people in that spot that they were in.
WWF is the one that said it could hold 3,000.
Oh, I see. Huh. Well, maybe they
Yeah.
meant like, it could. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how 3,000 would even fit in there, but
no,
No way.
that
Like
would be
they would
against the fire code. There'd be no way.
genuinely hanging from the rafters if that was the case. Like,
And
yeah,
also,
that's-
putting a ring in there does not eliminate 2,000 whatever fans. So.
no. It was also a small ring.
So we'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
this drew a $6,000 house, for anyone wondering. They charged
okay.
$20 to get in the door for a. The bouncer said they charged $20 to get in the door for a risque comedic show that wasn't funny.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
And that's it for the Observer there. There wasn't too much more. Like I said,
Sure.
Paul E trying to get on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
WCW beating the dog shit out of WWE. You know what I mean? That was pretty much all that was
Yeah.
going on at the time. So. Observer from November 5th, 2001. What appears to be the first serious attempt to start up an alternative national product since the demise of WCW and ECW. The XWF is only a week plus from
man.
starting out
Brother.
and cloaked in secrecy. My favorite thing about this is we're going to look at a few weeks of Observer notes here, and it is pretty much the chronicled history of the XWF, as it did not last very long.
Have you seen the XWF at all? Like, have you watched like a full XWF show?
No,
There's
I
not
don't think
many.
I have.
Okay.
I don't think I have either. No.
Maybe we should do that. I
some.
watched it, I think like last year or something like that, and it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's not like the worst thing ever, but it's scuffed to all hell, really.
Well, the group has reached a deal with Universal to run not only regular television tapings, but 3 events per week as a park attraction. Wrestlers known to be a part of this venture include Hogan,
Dude.
Conan, Ray Gonzalez, Juventud, Norman Smiley, Crowbar, Psychoses, Christopher Daniels, The Road Warriors, AJ Styles, Spanky, Low Key, and possibly Mark Mero.
James, you were just reading the notes for our January 8th show. You gotta cut that out.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
What happened again?
That's awesome.
This sounds like TNA, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
does.
That's what it exactly is. Yeah.
If you guys watched the Dark Side that we covered on Hayabusa, you guys remember the injury. It's a pretty infamous injury. This
Sure.
actually happened a few weeks ago. around the time that we watched this episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Meltzer covers the injury pretty extensively here.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle, Lita, Trish Stratus, Big Show, Booker T, William Regal, Triple H, and Stephanie taped a Weakest Link episode in Burbank that airs on November 12th, same day as Raw. It's actually the lead-in for Raw.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Damn, we really got to watch one of those, man. I'm sure they're sweet. I
Yeah,
remember
I
liking
think
them a
so
lot.
too. So during a break in the Weakest Link, someone in the audience made a crack about William Regal embarrassing Goldberg. That was a pretty
Smarks at the
infamous
Weakest
moment.
Link.
Yeah, it looks like it. Triple H chimed in with a line that embarrassing Goldberg isn't very hard to do.
Oh my God.
So Meltzer says, I think in hindsight, Mr. Goldberg made a wise choice sitting out these shark-infested waters because it looks like the main agenda would be who would get to beat him the fastest, as opposed to how do we draw the most money with Goldberg in the WWE.
Well,
Yeah, that's kind of how his run went. Yeah.
I was going to say Goldberg will find that out in a couple years.
Karen Angle wrote in about Rob Van Dam in 2001.
I love him.
Karen Angle says, my personal opinion is that RVD is not ready yet for his spot. I feel he is very careless. When these men step into the ring, they are trusting the other person with their body. Even though Rob Van Dam has been in the business for many years, I don't feel he can be trusted. Out of 5 matches with Rob Van Dam, there was only 1 match that Kurt didn't have to get stitches or was able to walk out without bleeding.
Karen Angle wrote into the Observer?
So on the Observer, it's Karen Angle wrote this about Rob Van Dam.
Oh, okay. Because I thought she even then that seems kind of crazy for that time that like she would just openly do that. That like I mean maybe because I guess maybe around that time like maybe not then but soon is like Bite This and all that stuff and people were kind of getting like more behind the scenes and talking shit. Like Stone Cold goes on Bite This and says, "Oh, creative sucks."
Yeah.
But it's like it's so weird to like that's a normal place now. Like fucking everyone's significant other says fuck the WWE.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Or AEW or anything. So it's like that's weird.
The Wrestling Observer, November 12th, which is the exact date that the Raw aired that we're watching.
It's my birthday.
It is now acknowledged by many internally that the heel Steve Austin character was a big mistake, with the note that the tease of his face turn in July was the only period when business appeared to be on the verge of turning around.
That's so crazy. I get it though, because no one who wanted to boo Stone Cold. But going back and watching and stuff, damn, I loved heel Stone Cold.
He was good. In hindsight, it's really good. Like the content is good, but the ratings probably didn't reflect how good it was.
No, I mean, creatively you got to do some fun stuff, but business for the WWF at this point was nosediving really bad.
That's crazy.
More notes on the XWF. Hogan and Kevin Sullivan are writing TV. They're planning to do house shows with Jeff Jarrett versus Buff Bagwell as the main event. Which, if they are running buildings of more than 1,500 seats, is another way of saying death because these two guys have zero drawing power.
I hope there's other Bagwell sons.
Bill Goldberg did an interview with Alex Marvez at WrestlingObserver.com this week.
I found Goldberg.
He said even if he did just have a week left on his Time Warner deal, that didn't mean he was going to sign with the WWF. He said there are things that stand in the way of that happening, and right now he's not even considering signing with the WWF. And then he was asked about Pride, and he said, yeah, it's in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to do it unless I am 100% ready.
Dude, if Goldberg had done even one Pride fight, that would have rocked my world.
That would have been the greatest thing
legendary.
ever.
Oh my god, because they would have got him in the game. Like that would have been so
sick.
Sick.
Awesome. Yeah.
Wow, Goldberg. But then on the flip side, damn. I don't know if I would have wanted to see Goldberg getting soccer kicked in the head. That would have kind of sucked.
Wrestling Observer, November 19th, the week after this Raw. In the very first public acknowledgement of the business decline being a serious issue, the WWF laid off 9% of its front staff, totaling 39 employees, along with the company president, Stuart Snyder, in the largest mass layoff in company history. There were no roster cuts made, but it is largely expected that there will be some made, as the company's plan continues to expand into 2 separate brands, although the timeline hasn't been finalized yet.
Well, there you go, guys. See, it's not so bad. They cut people when business is bad as well.
Just days before its first television taping that was planned to be built around him, Hulk Hogan appears to have pulled out of the XWF.
Oh,
What the fuck?
The story from those close to Hogan is that his appearance at the tapings this week to appear on the red carpet and wish the promotion good luck is a one-time thing being done to avoid embarrassment from several of his friends.
Oh my God.
In particular, Brian Knobbs and Jimmy Hart, who are running the company.
No. Fuck you, baby. You want to get on that red carpet, daddy?
The reasons Hogan gave was there was insurance concerns.
I think because all that came up of the XWF, I think is like a DVD that had like 4 episodes and then like a couple dark matches. And I think the only Hogan thing on there is who does he face? Is it Kurt Hennig maybe?
That sounds right, actually.
Kurt Hennig, I think, yeah. So that's like the only XWF thing he does. So they got a match out of him, I guess.
When I think of XWF, I think of Hogan, though, right? Wasn't he like ripping the shirt with the XWF logo or something? I don't even know.
Probably.
I swear, like he was all over their branding.
I don't like this company, brother.
I'm ripping it because I don't want to be here.
He was all over their branding, though. He was like the face of that company, and he wasn't even around. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And the last thing from the Observer here is that it comes from the episode we're actually watching, or we watched here, we're going to talk about here. There's a lot of talk within the industry regarding Mick Foley's apparent farewell promo on the 11/12 Raw, which nobody knew exactly what to make of, but was in fact scripted ahead of time, and all the key points were approved by Vince. Fans were happy to see him, but he didn't seem happy, and it came across as such.
Yeah. I'm sure Vince liked it. Vince said, go out there and tell everyone that we think you fucking suck.
In the promo, he said he won't be around much longer. And he said that if the Alliance won, he's out of a job. And if WWF won, he's also out of a job.
All right. True.
Because he did not want to work for Vince. So.
Well, fair enough.
The F4W newsletter number 493. He talks about the rise and fall of ECW DVD, which time will tell that this DVD was a big catalyst in bringing back ECW in the first place.
And for ruining my fucking life.
Brian Alvarez writes, a lot of people figured that the rise and fall of ECW DVD would sell well, but I don't think anyone realized just how hot of an item it would be. Ever since its release on Tuesday, we've been getting email after email saying one of two things. 1, the DVD is sold out everywhere, or 2, that this person managed to snag one of the few remaining DVDs at their local video store, and it was excellent.
I honestly think that DVD may have changed how they did DVD like documentaries going forward too, because I think so. Like
I watched it a lot.
I've honestly every probably 3 months I just put it on when I go to sleep just to have because it's a lot of good shit on there.
You ever wake up with the menu music?
You could ask my roommate; he hated that shit.
The menu music.
Yeah, so especially TNA because TNA DVDs had a 15-second loop. At least WWE had a full song. TNA was 15 seconds and it would hard reset every 15 seconds. So.
Would you get that? I don't know if you have any stats or anything, but would that probably be the best-selling WWE DVD of all time?
If not, it's up there. I'm sure.
One of the best received ones. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how that is with like streaming stuff now. I don't even know if anything can even touch it, but I imagine it's one of, if not the greatest one.
Yeah.
This is the DVD that Big Show was talking about later on in the show when we get into
it. He's just shilling it. They didn't have to, it sounds like, though.
I know that ECW DVD's out. I don't want you to have a flashback. Come up here. Suplex me through the pumpkin pie or something, all right?
There was also something here from Alvarez that says that he read an article on a wrestler named Michelle McCool-Alexander, one of the Diva Search girls who appeared on SmackDown on the episode we're watching. Apparently, this is the first time that she was on SmackDown.
I think we should change that name. I think she should go by Cool Alexander.
I think we can make that work.
Sweet. Yeah, I think so.
And in other news, WWE threatened a lawsuit against TNA if they aired the video footage shot during the invasion of WWE's Royal Rumble commercial taping at Universal Studios last week.
Invasion, they call it. Okay.
With the cookies and the biscuit balloons?
Yes, this is exact one.
Rey Mysterio unmasked, just hanging out. Hey, how's it going?
Super nice. Everyone was super nice.
They ended up airing it and they didn't get a lawsuit? What happened?
Because they ended up
blurring
the faces.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
I guess that's how that works. But they spent that whole episode of that Impact one. Did we review that? They spent that whole episode teasing that.
So in the F4W newsletter number 494, Brian Alvarez says in an incredibly weird story, Jerry Lawler was the victim of an alleged plot by crooked Memphis police last week to rob his home and, if necessary, kill him.
What the fuck?
Alvarez writes.
Hold on now. That is very
incredible.
Specific. That's
Alvarez
very specific. What the hell?
This is one of those strange but true stories I couldn't make up if I tried.
Okay.
So this is a very long and drawn out article piece here. So I'm going to summarize it really quick.
Sure.
In quick points. If you want to look this up for yourself, you can.
Like I said, F4W Newsletter 494, or just Google it. So a Hooters girl, Lawler was, I'm guessing, dating or fucking at some point,
Shocking.
was using him to case his house and figure out when he wasn't there. And then she worked with, I believe, 2 others, and then people on the inside in the police department to rob Jerry while he was away for Raw tapings, and if he was home, to kill him.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
Holy shit.
Yeah, which was a pretty crazy sounding story. So if you want to read more about that, you can. Just
Dude,
thought
that's
I'd put that in there.
insane. What
That
the
is
fuck?
fucking crazy, actually. Wow. Yeah. Holy shit. What the fuck?
I know. I couldn't believe it when I was reading. I thought it was like a rib at first. I was like, I didn't even know
I was
what I
gonna
was looking
say
at.
like that. It took such a hard turn. Like, oh, they're gonna plan to rob him or kill him.
Kill
It's
him.
like,
Yeah, I
I'm gonna go
know.
to sleep or I'm gonna set my house on fire.
One of those two.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And the
Jesus.
last thing here I have from F4W is the big backstage story of the week, which was a fight between Rene Dupree and Bob Holly.
That's what I thought so.
yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
So on this episode that we end up covering here in a few minutes, Rene Dupree came out with a big old shiner on his right eye.
Nice mouse just under his eye.
Yeah, it was looking rough. They say on the show that Fifi did it.
Fifi Gate?
Alvarez writes, apparently everything stemmed from Renee getting a speeding ticket while driving a rental car taken out in Bob Holly's name. In order to resolve the issue, Bob Holly had to fly out to another city. Well, that's how he resolved the ticket issue. He resolved his personal issue with Rene Dupree by beating the shit out of him during a tag match at the Syracuse house show.
Holy shit.
Alvarez
Damn.
writes, several minutes into the match, he was brawling outside with Rene Dupree. He grabbed a chair and waffled him with a chair shot. Rene dropped into a fetal position, at which point Holly grabbed him and began punching him full force in the face. The guys in the
What the hell?
ring must have figured out something was wrong because they went right to the finish. Rene Dupree grabbed his belt and started walking to the back, and he turned around and saw Bob Holly following him and started running for his life.
Jesus Christ.
The two then got into it again backstage a little later.
Huh.
Whoa.
Wow.
And this is why Renee had the black eye.
I wonder how much that ticket was for. It doesn't say, does it?
I think it was more so because Holly had to fly out to another city
Sure.
to
I mean,
solve it.
honestly, it wouldn't surprise me even if he didn't have to fly out if he would have done the same exact thing.
I think that you're right. Yeah, if you
I had a
Bob Holly was
feeling
just crazy.
That was, I mean, God, and that was quite the fucking shiner he had on his fucking face too. Yeah, that sounds about right. Just get a little trouble. Hey, I'm gonna try to kill you. That's that's for true. I wanna
Observer for May 22nd, 2000. ECW files a lawsuit in federal court in New York
Oh,
against
hell yeah.
both Rob Black, the owner of Extreme Pro Wrestling, known as XPW, and Terry Brunk, also known
shit.
as Sabu.
What the hell?
Whoa, what's happening here?
I can't imagine Sabu in a courtroom. That seems strange.
I also can't imagine
Maybe I can.
I also can't imagine ECW suing other people, not getting sued themselves.
What did
That's
they do
crazy.
so wrong?
So Rob Black was sued for interference of a contract. He was using Sabu while he was under contract to ECW.
Oh.
And for copyright infringement.
What?
Oh,
ECW filed a lawsuit for copyright infringement.
Oh my God. Wow.
So XPW used the word extreme, just spelled differently, which would theoretically create confusion in the marketplace as well as the similarities of their logo.
Oh. Huh. I
Sabu
never
himself
thought
was
of that.
sued for breach of contract. Also, the movie Road Trip, classic
that movie
2000
rules.
movie,
Holy
Love
shit.
that movie. Wow.
has a line when the guys are talking about Socrates and they called him the Vince McMahon of philosophy.
You like pro wrestling, don't you?
Who doesn't?
Okay. Socrates. He was like the Vince McMahon of philosophy. He started it all.
Yeah,
that was
just a line.
What if that was just a line? But
Oh,
there's
now we gotta,
I think there's
now
a
we gotta
few
watch
other
that movie. We gotta
I
watch
feel like
that.
that's
SGH Live.
That's not the only wrestling reference in that movie, I don't think, either. I think there's some other ones, too. But yeah, what a sweet movie. Wow. All those
That movie's
movies
awesome,
in 2000
yeah.
were
That
fucking
really
crazy.
is. Yeah, I don't know. Euro Trip was really good too. I like that movie.
Oh, my God. Euro Trip. Yeah.
All those, I don't know, those college travel movies.
Yeah. Those are
They're really
fucking
cool.
Yeah.
The Observer, June 5th, 2000. Apparently, the match Combat Zone Wrestling is working on in Philadelphia is the promoter John Zandig teaming with Terry Funk
versus Atsushi Onita and Dick Togo in a no-rope, electrified, barbed wire, dynamite death match.
Well, I'll tell you now that didn't fucking happen.
Well, they're working on it.
They're still working on it now.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's
Sounds about
crazy.
right.
Wow.
That would, I mean, God, that's what a fucking insane concept, though. But yeah, wow. There's, I mean, even Zandig and Onita alone, that shit wasn't gonna happen. Let alone like getting Funk there, and Dick Togo's probably the only guy that would have showed up, and it's Zandig's promotion.
Yeah, probably. And then Zandig was like, I can't work that. I can't work that. I don't know. Shit. So yeah, that's it for the Observer. What was the ratings looking like?
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Fantastic on some side of this. With both shows going unopposed on May 22nd, Raw delivered a 7.07 rating.
That's wild.
And of course, on the other side of things, because WCW is still around at this point. Some people might not have known that.
It looks like it, yeah.
WCW Nitro, which started 1 hour earlier.
If you look at the ratings, I don't think anyone actually fucking knew it was on an hour earlier.
It was on an hour earlier. It probably hurt them even more, really. Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Nitro did a 2.33 rating, which 1.45 in the first hour and 3.21 in the second hour. So yeah, like no one knew they were on an hour earlier. It looks like.
Fuck, dude.
Can you imagine putting on an hour earlier to try to beat
we're gonna
Raw?
get 'em. We're
And then
gonna get
no
'em.
one watches.
And then more people watched Raw anyway. That's even
Dude,
fucking.
that's
I don't know
so
what's more
fucked
insulting.
up. Oh.
Yeah,
That's very rough.
insane. Wow.
Now, this is from F4W number 580 from August 6th. So this is the week before.
Okay.
Kurt Angle lost to RVD on the June 27th show and then was suspended for 30 days due to issues with prescription pain medication.
Ooh, okay.
So, of course, this is
beginning.
around the time period
Probably not the beginning.
where Kurt Angle was having trouble with pills, and then he would go on to join TNA, I believe, at the end of this year. It doesn't even wait. I'm pretty sure it's the end of 2006.
It's October, I think, is when he starts, right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy to think about, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Regarding Bobby Lashley and Great Khali, which I had to write down, so that's all those names.
That's a sentence.
I would click on a title that says that today.
Yeah, me too. So both underwent a second test last week, and it was determined that their liver enzyme levels were back to normal. So they're both back in action.
The
They have the
elevated
elevated liver enzymes?
Yes, that was
Oh
around
my
the time of the
God.
first Punjabi prison match, which we have watched on our Patreon. The first Punjabi prison was supposed to be Taker and Kali, and then the first Punjabi
Had to
prison
change
is
that up.
Because
Big
Khali had the
Show and
elevated
Taker.
liver enzymes, right?
Yes, him and
Okay.
Lashley did too. I think somebody else maybe like Super Crazy or something like that did too. I'm not sure.
WWE sources are adamant that Matt Hardy has been suspended for 30 days, which means his staph infection claim from last week is mostly bullshit. There is
Whoa.
no word on what Hardy was suspended for,
What?
only that he has been suspended.
Huh. That's weird.
A lot of guys were getting suspended at this time. WWE is really starting to crack down on a lot of stuff.
Do you think that
Yeah,
was
I
also?
think
I mean,
so.
I guess maybe we shouldn't theory.
Yeah, I'm not going to theorize about it, but
sure.
there was a lot going
Interesting.
on at that point.
Yeah.
For some reason, Alvarez just wrote Tatanka down.
Oh no! Fuck! Someone
Tatanka
help
down.
him. Help
They
him.
wanted Tanaka. They wanted Tanaka. They got Tatanka.
Tatanka down.
What's he
said,
down for?
That's right. The Native American warrior will also be taken off the road due to failing a drug test.
Damn!
I don't know why he wrote it like that. Tatanka
Not
down.
not Tatanka, bro.
Tatanka down.
What do you think Tatanka's getting into?
Down. Downers. Tatanka downers. We have some more here. Marine, which stars John Cena and hits
Whoa.
theaters this fall, is rated PG-13. We're told that this one was considered the worst of the two already produced films, the other ones being Kane's See No Evil.
Hey, hold on now. That movie's
He
sweet.
said Kane's See No Evil was better. Come on.
Oh, good. Okay,
It's
true.
all good here.
Absolutely.
We have some more here. The Observer reported this week that TSN actually canceled WWE programming earlier this year after the live sex deal with Edge and Lita.
No way. Where they showed her boobies.
They go on to say here they got talked into rescinding, but then canceled it for good following the DX deal,
Wow.
where Triple H and Candice Michelle were supposedly getting
Oh.
oral sex during a barbecue skit.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was
So
sweet.
it was Triple H's fault.
That was those two segments were like near each other because I vividly remember both of them.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, wow.
Gabe Sapolsky is reportedly high on Takeshi Morishima and would like to bring him in as a regular in 2007.
Ooh, Gabe Sapolsky's high, and he's also been suspended for 30 days. Wow, Morishima. Interesting. I'm pretty sure Morishima's brought in at the end of that year, and he wins the ROH belt in February of the following
Spoiler
year.
alert, dude. We all haven't
Sorry.
seen it.
Beat Tom. Well, it was my first ROH show. That's why I remember it. It was February 7th, 06.
Did you go because Takeshi Morishima was on it?
No, I just went because I think it was sweet, and my
Hell
friends were
yeah.
going. It was also Steen and Generico's like ROH return against the Briscoes, and they killed it, and that's why they got booked forever after that.
F4W number 581, August 13th, 2006. Alvarez writes, I'd never heard this before, but apparently an idea months ago that got axed was to give Eminem a Scientology gimmick.
How would that work? They go around preaching the good word of what's
the
his fucking
spaghetti
name?
evil
Hubbard?
monster.
Ron
No,
Hubbard?
bro, what? Elron Hubbard.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, John Morrison with his bedazzled abs is going around preaching Scientology.
He's got the big
actually
dipper on his
think-
abs.
I
Yeah.
actually think that would have worked with them. I'm not even kidding.
Actually, John
What?
Morrison in outer space. Yeah, that
I
would
think
work.
John Morrison would have been just airheaded enough to make the Scientology thing work. Yeah, I
maybe
absolutely-
all along it was John Morrison was a subtle Scientology gimmick in the first place because everyone made the Jim Morrison connection, but maybe John Morrison was just
yeah,
big,
maybe John
big
Morrison meant
Scientology
L.
guy.
Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, Big Ron. That's what they call. That's what I call him. We're close. I'm not in Scientologists. We're just close.
Okay.
RVD returned from his 30-day suspension on Saturday
No.
before about 2,500 fans and was nearly put right back out of action. He was
Oh my God,
wrestling
what?
Kurt Angle and took a high-angle German suplex on the back of his neck and said that he suffered a stinger and had major
Ooh.
issues using his arm for the rest of the match.
Kurt ripped him up, was going for the overhead, and he said, "Come to TNA."
There was more notes here. After the live ECW show went off the air at the Hammerstein, Batista and Big Show, who were hated, decided to give an extra special fuck you to the crowd. They teased going at it again and then broke into huge smiles, hugged, and flipped off the fans.
Wow.
The place was going nuts and began pelting the ring with garbage. And amazingly, some fan got footage of this and posted it on YouTube, but WWE took it down.
Oh, son of a
That is also a match we watched on our Patreon. Sadly, didn't get that footage though.
Sting will be hosting Praise the Lord on the God channel in late September, and his guest will be Lex Luger. That's it. That's all. That's funny.
I don't know what to say to
That's
that.
pretty funny sentence.
What's the God channel?
That's where Sting's at with Lex Luger.
Is that channel like 2?
For those wondering why there may never be any TNA news on the F4W newsletter, here's some
I hate TNA.
here's some groundbreaking scoops from TNA's own website. Despite the heat and humidity in Orlando, many TNA stars, including Williams, drink coffee throughout the day. Here's a line from Williams. I just drink it when I'm here or on the road, not when I'm at home. Why do I
These are
drink
some
coffee?
big
Mostly
scoops.
because I'm bored as a pick-me-up. Here's another
Who the fuck
one.
who's Williams? Is Angelina?
Doug Williams.
Doug Williams.
Alex Shelley got me started drinking coffee. Alvarez writes, holy
Oh.
shit.
That's how I felt. What the fuck?
And then Doug
Here's a-
Williams was suspended for 30 days.
Those are the scoops. I
Here's
drink
another
coffee.
scoop for the TNA website here. From the Munchies department, Sorelda had a sweet tooth for chocolate chip cookies. Kevin Nash dined at Waffle House before arriving at the Impact Zone. Brian Alvarez
the
wrote,
fuck?
wow, in all caps.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's
Kevin
great.
Nash eats at Waffle House. What a scoop that is.
Wow.
Really-
That's why he knows
Would've
what their
never guessed
short
it.
line cooks look like.
F4W number 582, August 20th, 2006. The Impact Zone caught on fire. There was apparently a
Oh.
burlap sandbag up in the rafters that got too close to a hot lamp and lit on fire during Eric Young
Jesus.
versus Johnny Devine. Luckily, no one ended up seriously hurt, although one Universal Studios worker was hospitalized due to smoke inhalation.
Whoa. Wow. I didn't know that part. Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's very popular, actually. That's a very
That's
big
like
TNA
a
moment.
all-timer. Not all-timer's probably not the right word for it.
Not for that one Universal Studios worker.
Yeah, it
The
was,
crowd is chanting, "We started the roof is on fire."
As right now, they're all trying to duck out of the way.
Brian Alvarez writes, you will all be flabbergasted, but as
Will I?
miraculously predicted by myself last week, Hulk Hogan announced on Wednesday that he would in fact be wrestling Randy Orton at SummerSlam. He ended up only skipping that one Raw with the drug testing.
Wow, interesting.
The story going around about Nash is that he was at home and went to lift a box of toys over his head, except for it wasn't a box of toys, it was a box of weights. And he ended up straining his neck before the TNA pay-per-view.
You know, I put my box of weights in my kid's room.
In the toy room, yeah, obviously.
This kid's getting jacked, bro. What do you mean?
Kevin Nash said that he could have worked the pay-per-view, but didn't want to get in there with Chris Sabin at less than 100%.
Who was Who was supposed to work on that show?
It was Kevin Nash versus Chris Sabin.
Yeah, fuck that.
But here's the thing. Alvarez says it wasn't the fact that he was supposed to job to Chris Sabin, but the fact that he was supposed to lose via a fluke finish, and he didn't think the fluke finish would elevate Sabin. So Kevin Nash took a stand by not doing the job for the good of the business.
Remember that one when you start getting in the ring, for the good of the business.
I would come to the show and lose, but that's just not good for business.
It just doesn't sound good for Chris Sabin, and I'm
not for my opponent.
For Chris, I'm gonna stay home. That's fucking sick.
What a beast. We have some notes from a Scott Steiner interview. Brian Alvarez writes, these are always fun. So Scott Steiner said, during his time sitting home and collecting huge money from Time Warner after WCW went under, WWE contacted him about coming into team with Steve Austin to face the Outsiders at WrestleMania.
What?
Scott Steiner said no way because the money wasn't right. He wasn't looking to take a pay cut just to say he worked WrestleMania.
And he heard
said,
that the Outsiders were going to lose. He didn't want to hurt business.
For the better of this.
He's taking a stand,
Steiner says that was bullshit for WWE to bring him in as a babyface the first time around because Big Papa Pump was not a good guy. And that Triple H sabotaged him and Triple H was a piece of shit.
Fair.
Steiner said, but hey, they paid me, so who's the dumb one?
I don't know.
Big Papa Pump on Shawn Michaels. Big Papa Pump says,
come here, Stoney. Big
Papa Pump says, I look at him in his career. He comes out in chaps, black leather chaps, dancing like a Chippendale and poses for Playgirl. Come on, he's a joke. Rock didn't even want to wrestle him at WrestleMania. A lot of people don't like Shawn Michaels. He's a cocky little bastard.
Is that true? Rock didn't want to wrestle him at Mania?
That's what Scott Steiner says.
They never had a one-on-one match at Mania, right? They never did.
Big friends, Steiner and Rocky.
Well, here's what Big Papa Pump has to say about Triple H. Hunter is the male version of a blonde bitch going to Hollywood and fucking her way to the top. He's basically the Kevin Federline of professional wrestling. If it wasn't for who he was married to or who he was skeezing all over their face, he wouldn't be in this business.
Skeezo. That's how they go home in porn.
Skeezo, the director in the back. Skeezo.
Scott Steiner said, look where he started. He actually started in WCW as Terra Ryzing. Then he was doing 30-second jobs for the Ultimate Warrior. All of a sudden, he starts banging the boss's daughter, and he's supposed to be the baddest man on the planet. Come on. It's a joke.
Wow. Sounds like someone's a little jealous to me.
Sounds like he's telling the truth, brother. I ain't working WrestleMania unless you pay me. And that's the fucking truth. Shout out Scott Steiner. The 8th week of ECW did a 2.36 rating. 2.3. The average audience was a strong 2.7 million viewers.
Ooh.
So Sci-Fi apparently only wanted... No, it's actually not too bad. The beginning of ECW did pretty good. Sci-Fi wanted 1.4 every week. So ECW was getting way over that.
Wow, nice.
Shit, there's a lot of companies now that would level 1.4 as well. Fuck.
Obviously, this doesn't stay at this, but they had something there in the beginning. So,
because how long is it on TV at this point? Is this
it just started a few months ago? June?
Yeah, so June 13th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Wow.
Just a few months.
2 months. Yeah. Wow.
So from The Observer, December 20th, 1999.
Wow.
Barry Blaustein's Beyond the Mat has gotten a national distributor in Lionsgate.
Holy
shit. The movie will be released in theaters nationally, probably in late February or early March.
Oh. Wonder how that'll do.
No one will probably remember it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There has still been no discussion stemming from either Heyman or Shawn Michaels to WWF regarding asking him to appear on the January 9th pay-per-view show. This is like one of those, you remember those old Game Shark like cheat codes or like back in the day where people just made stuff up because there was no like, you couldn't go on the internet and check it.
I feel like we talked about this before though.
We did. We're getting an update on it, I think. Right?
But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
The only updates we get is that it's either happening or it's not. Yeah.
So, the update is there's no update, and it actually didn't happen ever.
It's like when you move the truck and Muse underneath it. It's like, oh, if you move ECW, Shawn Michaels is also.
Yeah, you eliminate 1,000 people in No Mercy Survival, and you unlock Owen Hart.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Fucking this never happens, and I don't even think it gets close to happening. Heyman does, though. It appears that Heyman will agree to use 2 people in WWF developmental, which is what the WWF wants him to do. Along
Phineas
with
and Ferb or whatever the fuck their names was.
I think their names are Mike Tierney and Glenn Kolka.
Glenn Kolka, isn't that Kane?
Is Glenn Kolka Kane?
Kolka.
No, that's not Kane.
No? All right.
All right. All right. Well, there is a name that you might notice here. Vic Grimes is also in that group.
Whoa. Vic Grimes from infamous times like New Jack wanting to kill him. And
him
almost killing New Jack.
His whole career.
What was it? He was in what was his WWF name? Oh, it was like Key or something like that.
Yeah, his it was Key because it was
he sold coke. yeah.
Well, Heyman is already using him full time, and he likes
to sell coke.
It's a shoot and work.
Yes.
Heyman is already using him full time and likes his attitude because he works ring crew along with wrestles every night. Yeah, his attitude. Yeah, he breaks down
attitude.
the ring and wrestles.
Yeah, that big ass attitude. You got to keep working for free,
Vic
son.
Grimes was a fat Mordecai. Holy shit.
Yeah. That was key.
Well, he's under WWF developmental currently, and WWF wants him to use Vic Grimes, Mike Tierney, and Glenn Kolka. Kane, if you might know him. Otherwise.
Kane, of course. Some may call him that.
Not Kane.
Fucking, what do you mean? Big Glenn. Kane.
Not Kane.
They shined him up real nice, turned that something sideways, and put it right back on Raw.
Glenn Kolka on ECW. Kane on ECW.
Yeah, we're going to have to get up with the Observer about that. I'll write in. I'll tell you what they say. Yeah, Glenn Kolka here. I'm not sure. Well, they used he used all these fucking guys, and then Shawn Michaels never shows up. So, whatever.
He said, I'm not working a show with Kane.
Yeah, can you use all these guys? And then Shawn Michaels, Glenn Kolka's on this show?
We're planning on making this guy Kane. What do you think of that? And Shawn said, no way, brother.
That does not work for me, dude.
I want to be Kane.
Tori Wilson has signed a
made that all up. Just lying.
What? I'll be damned. Tori Wilson signed a 2-year contract with WCW. Ultimately, part of the decision, according to her, apparently came down to the fact that she felt safer working in WCW. And listen to this.
Really? Wow.
Didn't want to risk signing with the WWF and being put into a lesbian angle or something.
Huh.
Well, Perry Saturn was on the LAW radio show in Toronto on December 11th, actually, in 99.
Yes.
And said that since the new creative team took over WCW, there has not been one good television show.
That's awesome.
And well, Perry Saturn shows up in WWF soon. Well, The Observer, December 27th, 1999. Curry Man, otherwise known as Christopher Daniels.
Now hold the hell on.
What the?
Won the British Commonwealth Junior title from Minoru Fujita on the 12-14 Michinoku Pro Show in Niigata.
Okay, I was going to say, whose belt is that? I don't know that one.
It's crazy to me that both these guys are still working right now.
Yeah, I know. That is weird.
I only wrote that down because I was just watching a Minoru Fujita match like the other day. And I was thinking, I was like, wow.
I feel like we were just talking about him. I don't remember why, though.
Shh. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Bill Goldberg was injured from glass cuts doing an angle to end the Thunder show on December 21st.
Was that when he smashed the side of the limo?
Yeah, so at press time, he was in the hospital, and there was no details regarding how seriously he had injured himself, other than he had full feeling in his fingers and hands, which is considered a good thing, since he lost a tremendous amount of blood. This is not an angle, even though it came during an angle. The show-long storyline was that Goldberg was going to take out every member of the NWO one by one. He finally got to Russo in a white limo in the parking lot as the show ended, and was, while wearing his shoot fighter gloves, punching out one window after another. The flying glass apparently from the window cut deeply into his tricep, and there was a massive amount of blood flowing, and towels were drenched in Goldberg's blood before he was taken away.
Weird.
This is one of the most infamous WCW ever.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when they did the gimmick where he lost for the first time, like he wanted it to be like a shoot stun gun or whatever, like or shoot cattle prod. Like he wanted like a real one. Yeah, like and then there's the story of him going Goldberg mode and smashing his head in the locker room. Fucking, that's awesome.
I'm going Goldberg mode.
I think that's what the kids are doing these days.
You're supposed to use a lead pipe or something, but he dropped it or something as he was running after him. Wasn't that the deal?
I believe that he said, "I'm gonna just do this with my hands because I'm Goldberg and I can just do it. I'm in Goldberg mode."
I think so. I
like that story better. Okay, that's what happened. Yeah, he turned Goldberg mode.